From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Tuesday to everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marquez. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Well, good to have another Padres win, huh? Isn't that great? Love that. Absolutely love that. It's even better because you've now won 3 in a row. It's great. Winning's great. Winning's fun. Winning's fun. But things might have gotten a little complicated yesterday because of how great Germán Márquez pitched.
Gotta love it when a plan falls apart.
Yeah. Well, let's start right here. 3 straight wins. A series win in Boston, and now a shutout in Pittsburgh. And all of a sudden, vibe feels a little bit different, doesn't it? Because a week ago, we were sitting here talking about what this team wasn't, and now we're starting to see what this team can be. And the biggest reason why last night matters, it's not just the win, but it's getting back to 500. It's also, though, about who did it? Who got you back to 500? The Germán Márquez bounce back. Germán Márquez went out there last night and gave you something this team desperately needed. A professional, veteran, gritty start. 5 innings, 0 runs, worked through traffic, didn't panic, didn't fold. And let me tell you something. That might not sound flashy, but for this Padres team right now, that's everything they needed out of their number 5 starter. What did we say before the year started? What an average number 5 starter does for a playoff team, an average playoff team in Major League Baseball. He gets you 5 innings. He gets you 3 runs or less. He got you 5 innings last night. He didn't even give up a run. That is everything the Padres need out of their number 5 starter. Because let's not forget where we were last week. Or should I say his first start. It was bad. He gave up 4 runs. He had, only went 3 innings, home runs galore, command issues. And we were sitting here all going, does this guy got anything left? I literally said that on the air. I'm like, I don't know if this guy's got anything left. Is this a guy you can trust? Is this experiment already over? And I said yesterday before his start last night, this is the start to keep him on this team and to keep him employed. And man, did he shine yesterday. He flipped the script completely from last Friday. And here's what matters for you as a listener, because this is where real baseball comes in. I mean, last Monday, whatever it was, Tuesday. He didn't suddenly throw 98. He didn't reinvent himself overnight. But what did he do? He adjusted. Let's talk about the pitch mix he had yesterday. And we're going to talk more about Germán Márquez in the next segment. But he leaned into what works for him. His fastball, about 40% of the time. His knuckle curve, he threw 46% of the time. And that knuckle curve was filthy. 38% whiff rate. Over a dozen swings and misses total, and completely changing eye levels with that pitch. That pitch carried him last night. And this is the key point about his outing yesterday. Because this is what I want you to understand if you're driving around right now. This wasn't about his stuff. This was about pitching. He trusted the fastball just enough to keep hitters honest. He then buried them with the knuckle curve, and he sequenced. That's the sequencing you want to see at a number 5 starter. That's feel. That's experience. That's a guy who's been there before and said, I don't have my best, but I know how to get outs. And more importantly, he competed. It's not like he was unscathed all night. I mean, he had traffic all night long. He had runners on the corners. He had one out, man on third. Big moments early in the game where things could have gone south, and every single time for Germán Márquez, he went out and made a pitch. That's the difference between getting blown out and giving your team a chance. And this is why it matters, because now we have a conversation, a real conversation, because roster decisions just got even harder. Before last night, it felt simple. Germán Márquez struggles again. All right. Thank you for your service. This isn't going to work out. You move on. You might go younger. You try something else. You shorten the leash. You talk about Griffin Canning coming back. You talk about Matt Waldron coming back. But now, what do? Because you've seen now both sides of Germán Márquez. You've seen the guy who can get hit and has balls leave the yard. You've seen a guy who can still get big league outs. I mean, you've seen both of it. And that's where this gets complicated for the Padres. This team needs stability right now. I mean, that's the real conversation with this rotation. There are questions everywhere. Of course, health concerns, inconsistencies, young arms still developing. And what did Marquez just show you? He showed you he can be a steadying force. Not an ace, not a star, but a guy who can go out there and say, give me the ball, I'll keep you in the game. And right now, that has value for this Padres team. And here's the bigger picture. Because this ties into the 3-game win streak. This isn't just about one guy. This is about the team starting to figure it out. And what have we seen during this streak? I tell you what, we've seen a lot better of at-bats. Just from the approach, even when the results haven't been there, the at-bats have been way better. You're starting to see timely hitting. You get the bullpen and the right matchups coming in out of the bullpen who are locking things down. And now starting pitching starting to step up a little bit. That's the formula for success. That's how you win games in this league. Last night, you score 5 runs. You don't need 10 because your starter gave you zeros. And if your starter in Germán Márquez did exactly what a number 5 starter does anyway and goes 5 innings, allows 3 runs or less, you still win the game last night. That's how this team is built. Let's not overcomplicate things about the Padres. This team is built to compete offensively. This team is built to lean on their bullpen. This team is built to just get enough from the rotation. If Marquez can give you that, if he could be a real number 5 starter, everything changes for this team. I think the ceiling changes for this team. Because now the depth looks very different. You're not scrambling every 5th day. You're not burning your bullpen early. You're not chasing games from the first inning. Now you get to go out there and play real baseball. And don't miss this part, because this is the part people overlook. It wasn't a dominant performance out of Germán Márquez. It was a control of the game. He gave up hits. He gave up 6 of them. He wasn't perfect, but he dictated the pace. He controlled the damage, and he made the Pirates earn everything last night. That's winning baseball. And now the timing of this is everything, because who's on deck? You got Paul Skeens tonight that you have to deal with for the first time. Not a lot of Padres have faced Paul Skeens. In fact, the Padres organization themselves have not faced Paul Skeens at all. And you're about to face one of the best arms in the game, after you already faced one of the best arms in the game on opening day. And instead of going into that game trying to avoid a losing streak, you're walking in with 3 straight wins, momentum, confidence, and a bullpen that's fresh. The bullpen last night was huge, too. What Rod Marinaccio did and what David Morgan did, saving everybody else and giving everybody else an extra day off, that's huge for a night like tonight. That's huge for trying to win this series in Pittsburgh, a place that has been tough for the Padres to play, albeit as of late, they've really done a really good job in Pittsburgh, but that doesn't mean it can't get flipped on them very quickly. So, what was last night really about? It's not just a bounce back. It's not just a win, but it's a reminder that baseball seasons aren't decided in one start. They're not decided in 1 week. They're built on adjustments, on responses, on guys like Germán Márquez saying, I've been here before. I'm not done yet. And now the Padres have a decision to make, because the more he pitches like that, the harder it becomes to take the ball out of his hands when you have Matt Waldron coming back from injury, who's out of options. When you have Griffin Canning coming back from injury, who has signed a contract with the Padres. I tell you what, last night's start puts a hell of a lot of more pressure on Walker Buehler and his ability here in his next start. So it's creating that in-season competition, which I think is good. But this conversation gets a lot more difficult now because you have a lot of players on this team that cannot go down to the minor leagues. And so they kicked the can down the road after spring training because they were going to make their decisions when guys start coming back. Those decisions get harder when you got a guy like Germán Márquez out there dealing like he did yesterday. So 3 straight wins for the Padres, back to 500, and a whole lot more questions for this team. But all of these questions are in a good sense now, because these are all good problems to have for the San Diego Padres. And that is where the season starts to get interesting for San Diego. So throughout the rest of the show, we're going to talk about a lot of these different things. We're going to dive deeper into what Germán Márquez did last night. Again, it was the knuckle curve, a lot on the knuckle curve last night for Germán Márquez. I heard Tony talking about it on the radio when I was driving around, doing a lot of stuff on a Monday. We'll get you the full breakdown of yesterday's game. Germán Márquez, Matt Waldron should be coming back soon. We'll keep you updated on any other injury news that we got. We will also discuss some of these big decisions that need to be made for the Padres. We got a lot planned today. Keep it right here on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. College sports just hit a breaking point, and now the government is stepping in. An executive order signed by President Donald Trump is trying to limit athletes to 5 years, cap transfers at 1, and even threaten schools with losing federal funding if they don't follow the rules. But here's the reality. This might not even hold up in court. Ever since the Supreme Court ruled against the NCAA in 2021, the athletes have been winning, and the NCAA has been losing control. So now we've got a system where players can transfer every year. Money is flying everywhere through NIL, and nobody actually agrees on the rules. And this order, it's trying to put structure back into chaos. But you can't fix a billion-dollar industry with just an executive order. If this isn't a solution, but it is a signal. Because the real question is this: are we building a real system for college sports, or just watching it spiral into professional free agency without rules? This week on our college sports update, we are discussing what happened last week as we've officially crossed into a new era of college athletics. And it's not just NIL or the transfer portal anymore. Now the federal government is stepping in. Current President Donald Trump signed an executive order aimed at reshaping college sports, and it's aggressive. Here's what it's trying to do: limit athletes to 5 total years of eligibility, allow only one transfer without penalty, push a national agent registry, protect funding for women's and Olympic sports, and most notably threaten loss of federal funding if schools don't comply. It's not a suggestion, it's some leverage by the president, but at the same time, we don't know if this thing will actually hold up in court. But Frank, based on everything that got put into place, I think this is a good starting point to help fix college athletics. They just need it in more of a law form.
Yeah, other than, the loss of federal funding if schools don't comply. Other than that, I agree with everything that's been proposed here. 5 years, absolutely agree with that. One penalty-free transfer. We've both said that's a great idea. The national agent registry, I think, is huge to protect players from these backstreet agents, the alleyway agents, I guess you could say. Protect funding for women in Olympic sports, absolutely fantastic. So it's going in the right direction for sure.
I like all of it. And here's the other thing too, to counter you on the federal funding. You have to put in something extreme for schools that don't oblige. And so that's an extreme punishment. Unless you have another, what would your punishment be? You have to put something in. Otherwise, the schools are like, all right, go ahead. What are you going to do? Oh, fine us? Nice. We'll just write you a check. I mean, it needs to be something obscure that no school wants to touch. So I don't really mind that potentially, but by this order. But the reality of the situation is this is not holding up the court of law because it's not a law. It's just an executive order, which can obviously have a lot of holes poked into it. Mm-hmm. And until the Congress gets together and passes an act that really gives the NCAA antitrust law exemption, you're going to be in the middle of this every single time in a courtroom.
Yeah, for sure. And now legal experts are already saying that this is likely going to get blown up in court. And the reason why is because ever since the NCAA versus Alston decision back in 2021 that you mentioned earlier, the NCAA has been fighting a losing battle trying to control athletic compensation and movement. Courts have consistently sided with the athletes. And now it's becoming a fight of, can the government succeed where the NCAA has failed, or is this just more noise in a system that is already spiraled out of control?
The only thing that really needs to be they need to have something that courts can go to and be like, these are the rules,
yes,
these are what you have to follow. And until that gets put into place, it doesn't really matter what they come up with because, they're not going to win any antitrust laws because, sports and business and labor laws don't coexist because you're trying to make leagues very competitive. That's why all these leagues have some form of antitrust law exemption to make the leagues competitive. But what does this really mean for college sports? Well, college sports right now is operating like free agency on steroids. Athletes are transferring every year. Schools essentially bidding for players via NIL collectives, eligibility rules being challenged constantly. This executive order is trying to bring structure back to chaos. And honestly, some of these ideas do make sense. A 5-year cap, it's very reasonable. Limiting transfers, stabilized rosters, agent regulation. That is long overdue in college athletics. But the problem is you can't fix $1 billion industry with a temporary executive order. That's like putting duct tape on a cracked dam. They need actual laws.
Yeah, exactly. And the 5-year cap really hasn't been an issue until COVID happened. And we had these eligibility issues from that. So that was never really an issue. The transfers is a product of NIL. That's where the big changes become. And the agent regulation is very much the same. It's a product of NIL. So these are all very, very
ball season. I think we've really made it now, Frank. You want to know why I say that? This is the official real kickoff to baseball season.
Okay.
This is the official.
I'm nervous. Did you see something in chat?
Real kickoff to baseball season. We have, ladies and gentlemen, we have our first American League Central morning game on television.
God bless the American League Central.
God bless the worst division in all of baseball to watch, the American League Central. There is nothing more boring than an American League Central game in the middle of the day. But you know what? We're thankful for them.
It is baseball.
And by the way, it's always just the American League Central against each other. It's never like they're playing anybody else. Today, it's the Royals and the Guardians. At what time is it? 10:18?
It's a 1 o'clock start.
Yeah.
It's a 1:10 start.
Why are they doing that on a Tuesday?
Because, dude, people are in school.
Is this Guardians opening day?
No.
Is it? I don't know.
No.
It's not Guardians opening. Are we done with opening days? Does everybody have their opening day now?
Yeah.
Officially?
I think it's Tuesday. It's the middle of the day. Kids are in school. Some might accidentally watch or go to this game, apparently. Good night.
Ferris Bueller did. There is nobody there.
No, there is not. There's more people than were in Minnesota last night, though.
I'd love to know the announced attendance for that game. No, it's their opening day. It was yesterday. So Cleveland's part of the last of teams that are celebrating their opening day. And the only reason why they have it now, because it's still frigid in Ohio, is they have to have it within the first couple of weeks of the season. It's not like college baseball where you start the entire first 2 months off, or in South in the South, just to stay warm.
The Twins beat Detroit last night in front of a capacity crowd of 12,569. And to that, I say, too high.
That was the announced attendance? Was that the announced attendance?
The attendance on the box score is 12,569.
Well, that beat like the Rockies had like, or maybe it was just for the Rockies. They had the lowest attendance they've ever had. They had 16,000, which is like the lowest attendance aside from like COVID sanctioned. When they had those limited attendances.
Rockies had 16,301 yesterday.
Yeah, even that was super high. There's no way 16,000 people went to that game last night. There's just absolutely zero chance that actually happened.
Marlins win yesterday. They had 10,934.
I don't think anybody actually goes to Marlins games. I think they're paid actors.
And
does anybody actually go to Marlins games?
And even their players are saying it. Did you see what happened with Sandy Alcantara's post game?
Yes.
That was fantastic. For those of you who didn't see it, he threw a gem of a game. And after the game, he said, to the fans who aren't here, but we appreciate you anyway.
Yeah, it must be tough living in places where it's freezing and you don't want to go to games. I know like that doesn't justify my Florida has always been bad at attendance for baseball, which is weird because they've had really good teams down there. Like the Marlins have won 2 World Series.
Oh, no. Someone was right. Yeah, Padre Pittsburgh had the least attendance yesterday, 8,446.
8,000. I believe it. They won. They're not very good. Well, I mean, they're not bad, but they're not super good. They don't like their owner, and it's freezing. And it's raining
too yesterday.
I could see why not a lot of people went to that game. But that was, what made that cool was here. Look, think about this. When they do when the Padres do like the highlights, but it's like from the dugout wells.
Yeah.
And it's all Nat sound. It sounds like a college baseball game on all the hits for the Padres. You can hear the dugout get excited. Yeah. It's like the COVID days when nobody was there. You're like, oh, say, these guys are getting stoked right now. This is kind of cool. You didn't hear any part of the crowd at all because there wasn't a lot. I would imagine most of the crowd last night were actually Padres fans that were on the trip to see PNC Park.
Yeah, probably.
That's what I would think yesterday was for the Padres. Speaking of yesterday, as we transition back to normal thoughts instead of the American League Central. That guy, they look so cold playing baseball right now.
They do. And the one thing I love about like cold weather games is Kyle Hart wore it last year.
The turtleneck?
The turtleneck with the team name and logo on the neck part.
He still wears that.
I love that look so much. I want one. I've never found where to get one, but I want the ones that the players wear. They look so cool. I love them. I'm a turtleneck guy.
You're a big turtleneck guy, huh?
Yeah, I'm a turtleneck guy.
I can't tell you the last time I wore a turtleneck. I think I was a kid. Big turtleneck guy. Ooh. That's gone. We'll see you, buddy. All right. Let's get to yesterday with Germán Márquez. His outing, overall takeaway for me was he bounced back big time against Pittsburgh. I mean, he got lit up for 4 runs in 3 innings against the Giants. He threw 5 shutout innings last night, just allowed 6 hits, walked 1, struck out 4, had 13 whiffs. He only had 2 whiffs in his first start. The big difference was his knuckle curve was dominant, nearly 46% usage and generating over 38% whiffs. Velocity set at 93.9 on the fastball, same as his last start, still a little bit less than what he was last year, but the execution and his pitch mix were much sharper yesterday than you saw the previous week. Command still isn't elite, but with this was a veteran performance that got the Padres a quality start and a 5-0 win, and much better signs from the 30-something-year-old right-hander, as it was a big step forward, I think, for Germán Márquez. But as we saw last night, Frank, not a dominant performance, but it was a gritty, I'm a 5th starter performance out of Germán Márquez. You got to love outings like that out of a starting pitcher.
Yeah, you got more than what you would have wanted out of a number 5 starter. You got 5 innings, no runs, 6 hits, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk on 92 pitches. That's great for an innings eater. And then you had Ron Marinaccio go out there and throw 2 innings. Then you had David Morgan, who hadn't thrown since last Tuesday. And the first couple batters he faced, he looked like he hadn't thrown since last Tuesday. go out there and mop up the rest of the game. So solid night. And that third inning, because we were still here watching it on the big screen in the sound space, that third inning could have gotten away from Marquez because it had just started bucketing down rain. And you could see he was losing his command a little bit. It was runners on the corners with one out, I think. That was an inning that could have really gotten away and could have been a real problem. Nothing to do with him either. That would have all been on the rain. But he was able to work his way out of it. He got out of it, didn't allow a run, and got a little bit of help from Ryan O'Hearn as well, as we saw. But yeah, that was a great start from Germán Márquez. You got to give the devil his due. When he makes a good start, you got to give it to him.
I think so too. He did really well, and it bounced back to, and he needed that. He absolutely needed that. If you had another clunker at Germán Márquez, he would have been gone immediately. I mean, it's just there's no way they would have tried to keep him on the roster with guys coming back. It's going to be interesting to see. We'll talk about the 11 o'clock hour with Matt Waldron and the update on him potentially coming back. But, I think it's going to be a tough decision for the Padres on the Matt Waldron versus one of these two players, more so than Griffin Canning. I think you know what you're going to get out of Griffin Canning. He's got a higher ceiling. He's obviously going to be on this team. That's going to be a difficult decision, but one where you're adding a guy that is probably and definitely better than the two that you currently have on your roster. The Matt Waldron situation is interesting to me because is there a situation in which Buehler and Marquez pitch well enough where you don't even let Matt Waldron pitch at the big league level? Right now, Walker Buehler's opening up the door to get let go. He did fine in spring training. I think he'd pitched well enough to make the team in spring training. I think with the added injury situation with Waldron and obviously with Joe Musgrove missing the beginning part of the season, it made it a little bit easier because he outpitched Germán Márquez for most of spring. And then his first outing was fine. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. He gave you pretty much what you would need out of a number 5 starter. His last outing was not very good. So as a lot of people in the chat have been asking the question of like, well, what do you do now with Walker Buehler and Marquez? What you cannot do is just judge both of these players on their last start. You cannot do that. You're going to make a catastrophic mistake in terms of cutting somebody. And the other thing you cannot do is you can't emotionally cut somebody because he happened to play for the Dodgers for most of his career. You also cannot do that. That's foolish. But I will say this. I think Germán Márquez has now evened himself with Walker Buehler. I think it's now an even race to see who stays on this team. And the next round through, again, is going to be a big decision-making time for the Padres. Now, whether or not they have that amount of time will remain to be seen. But I think Walker Buehler gets at least one more start. You have to give him another start because you've given him $1 million now by making the team. They have negotiated. He's making $1 million now. It's not like you're making league minimum, even though it's pretty close to it. So you have to be right before you make this decision. It's going to come down to whether or not Ruben Niebla thinks that he can make something out of Walker Buehler and whether or not he can make something out of Germán Márquez. I think Germán Márquez was definitely a step in the right direction. I think Walker Buehler was a step in the complete opposite direction, but this creates some interesting competition next time through the rotation. Now, without going off the top of my head,
does that Friday and Saturday here would be Buehler and
they're going.
Marquez.
It's Pivetta today, correct?
Yeah, Pivetta, then King.
Then King. Thursday would be Vasquez.
So it'd be Friday, Saturday.
Friday, Saturday, Walker Buehler, Germán Márquez against the Rockies.
Yes, against Colorado.
Now you're going to see both. Now you're going to see both guys shove against Colorado. Now what everybody's going to be like, well, that outing doesn't count because Colorado's not very good.
Now you do have some time here because Griffin Canning just went on the rehab list. So he made a rehab start that we didn't get to yesterday over the weekend. You have 30 days. If the 30 days comes and goes with a pitcher on the rehab list, you either have to activate him or you have to put him on the 60-day IL. So you have a month, a little bit less than a month now before you have to make a decision on Griffin Canning. So if those guys are performing well, you can ride that all the way until the last week of April when you are forced to make a decision on Griffin Canning.
I don't necessarily think the Griffin Canning situation is as important or dire as the Matt Waldron situation to me is a tougher decision because in order to see if Matt Waldron can be in your rotation, you have to get rid of somebody else that you can't bring back. So unless they're going to carry an extra starter just to see if Matt Waldron can pitch at the big league level, you're taking a massive risk if you automatically believe that Matt Waldron up to speed is going to be better than one of the two that you currently have. Because what happens if you bring Matt Waldron back? And so therefore, let's just go through the emotions of a fan right now, right? So fans right now are probably thinking, all right, let's get Matt Waldron back. And you know what they're thinking of? They're thinking about that stretch Matt Waldron had 2 years ago where he was really good. And they think that guy's going to come back. This is how we think as fans. So it's like, well, I'm going to add him. And Walker Buehler's terrible right now. So we're going to cut Walker Buehler. What happens if you bring Matt Waldron back and he doesn't do well? And then Walker Buehler gets picked up by anybody else and starts doing well. And you made that decision just to see if Matt Waldron can still pitch at the big league level. That's the risk you're taking. Now, this is why I said, and we're going to talk more about this in the next segment. This is why I said the Griffin Canning situation is not as interesting because based on, we'll see how it happens after injuries. You are banking on Griffin Canning being better than both Germán Márquez and Walker Buehler. That's why you signed him in the first place. He just needed to start the season getting some rehab in, which is fine. He's going to be better than both of those guys. I don't think that's a bold statement to say. So you're going to add somebody better and cut somebody that's worse to your rotation. But the big question now is, how do you get Walker Buehler, Germán Márquez, and Matt Waldron figured out for the final spot? That to me is the big question.
How do you get 6 guys to fit 5 spots?
How do you get
7 guys?
Yeah, more. Yeah, it's like 7 guys to fit 5 spots. And it's really, how do you get these 3 to get you the best number 5 starter until Joe Musgrove comes back, right? And then after that, then you got to make another decision. And maybe by that point, it's more cut and dry. But as of right now, the question becomes, is your number 5 starter, right now you can go 4 or 5, right? Because Griffin Canning's not back yet. And you can kind of kick the can down the road with Canning, as Frank mentioned, because of how long a rehab assignment can be in the minor leagues. And I think Griffin Canning's going to use all of that rehab assignment unless, Marquez and Buehler both have clunkers and Matt Waldron sucks when he comes back. But how do you make the decision between Matt Waldron, Walker Buehler, and Marquez in the next couple of weeks? That's the biggest question that is facing the Padres right now, and it's a good question to have because hopefully the cream will rise to the top, and you will get the best possible outcome for your number 5 starter with competition. But that's the question the Padres need to answer. That's the question we discuss when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. San Diego FC hit their first real bump of the season, and it's starting to look like more than just a bump. 3-0 loss to the San Jose Earthquake, and honestly, it wasn't even that close. 3 first-half goals, a red card, and a game that was basically over before halftime. But here's the crazy part. San Diego actually had more possession and completed nearly 200 more passes than the San Jose Earthquake. So what's the problem? Simple. Mistakes and discipline. This team now has 5 red cards in their last 5 matches. That's not getting bad luck. That's starting to be a pattern. They're controlling games, but they're not controlling moments. And in soccer, that's everything. The talent is there for San Diego FC. The system is there. But if San Diego FC wants to be a real contender, they have to clean this up fast because right now they're not losing because they're outmatched. They're losing because they're beating themselves. There's some of the biggest takeaways from San Diego FC from over the weekend. And the things have officially taken a turn for SDFC. And unfortunately, not in the best of lights. For the first time this 2026 MLS season, San Diego lost, and it wasn't even that particularly close. 3-0 defeat to the San Jose Earthquake snapped their unbeaten start and exposed some growing concerns. San Jose struck early and often. Nico Sakiris scored in the 13th minute off a turnover. They added a second from a penalty spot after a red card on Mono Dua, and Preston Judd made it 3-0 just before halftime. That was pretty much all she wrote on Saturday over the weekend, Frank.
Yeah, and what makes this loss even more frustrating is that San Diego actually controlled the game. If you look at it on paper, 56% possession, great. That's in line with what San Diego FC does. 547 passes completed compared to San Jose's 370. That's normal for San Diego FC, and none of it mattered. It was the classic case of possession without purpose, controlling the ball, but making costly mistakes in dangerous areas. And at this level, it may not be some of the top flight European leagues, but mistakes are mistakes, and they are going to get punished no matter what level you're at.
There's not a lot of times, Frank, where 56% of the possession you lose when you have 547 passes completed to San Jose's 370. I mean, those are some pretty crazy stats in a 3-0 game that does not favor you. The bigger issue, though, is discipline and defense. I mean, this is where the conversation really starts. San Diego FC has now 5 red cards in their last 5 matches across all competition, 3 straight MLS matches without a win, and multiple games giving up early or late goals. We're not seeing bad luck right now. This is starting to be a pattern. And for a team that wants to be a contender, discipline is becoming a very serious issue for a very young back line.
Yeah, and we saw this team last year. New coach, new system, the way he implemented it, a complete clean slate. Now you're going into this season with mostly the same players, same coach, same system, and you're getting 2 completely different results out of this. And the discipline for me is the one that's the most concerning. 5 red cards in your last 5 matches. That ain't good, because now you're going to lose Manu Dua for this next upcoming match, because with a red card comes a suspension for the next match. That is not good. You have to have these guys here. We did not see this as a big problem for San Diego FC last year. And a lot of the guys that we're seeing now play on that back line were here last year. They know this system. They know what is expected out of them, and they know what Mikey Varas is trying to get across. And it's just completely unraveled on them for whatever reason.
This was the youngest defensive lineup in MLS history with an average age under 20, which is exciting long-term. But right now, it is definitely showing with a lot of the mistakes that San Diego FC is making, on top of the fact that, again, the red cards are inexcusable. 5 red cards in 5 games and losing players in all of these games is absolutely unacceptable for a team that's expected to be contending and a team that's expected to be one of the best in the MLS. I mean, a few weeks ago, we were talking about San Diego FC as a feel-good expansion story. Year 2, look, we were doing everything that we did in year 1. Look how great we are. We were able to beat Toluca. We were able to beat Pumas Unum at home, and we're advancing in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and we're kicking everybody's ass in the MLS. And right now, well, they're definitely getting a little bit more tested. This stretch is revealing who they really are. Talented, yes. Dangerous going forward, yes. But inconsistent, undisciplined, and still learning how to win.
And you got what you wanted. You got a break. They're coming off an international break here, and the problems did not change. They didn't look any different from what they did going into the international break, coming out of it. So that is probably the most confusing part. And their next test at home is not going to get any easier. It's one of the top flight opponents in the Western Conference coming into Snapdragon Stadium, bless you, in this weekend in Minnesota United. This is not going to be an easy match for them by
Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marquez. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Talking about last night's start for Germán Márquez. He was great yesterday. And we'll take a little bit of a deeper dive into what he did analytically, and it leads to our conversation about what the Padres do in terms of their starting rotation, because now there's some big decisions on the horizon. And we'll talk more about Matt Waldron in the 11 o'clock hour, because we have gotten some updates on Matt Waldron. But did you see they just re-aired that introduction for the Twins?
Mm-hmm.
Twins, did anybody else see that? Frank and I saw it last night. The Minnesota Twins did their starting lineup NFL style on their TV broadcast yesterday, where they had Royce Lewis, Jay Sarah Catholic, went through the names and all that stuff. They popped their head up. You see on Monday Night Football and Sunday Night Football and stuff like that. So they did that for their TV broadcast yesterday. It's super cool. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, that's a gimmick that everyone should get behind.
Yeah, great gimmick. The downside, there was 15 people in the stands. So they were just going through an empty stadium, like showing scenics of the empty stadium with those guys giving their intros for the starting lineup, which is really rough. On top of that, what also makes it rough, social media is so toxic. It's so funny at the same time.
They won the game.
Good for them. Good for the Twins.
They're 1-0 on the Sunday Night Football lineup read.
Oh, they're going to get superstitious on that, huh? Aren't they? Anyway. Twitter and social media is both toxic yet hilarious at the same time. People come up with some funny things. Somebody in the comments, naturally, said they should do that, but ask every fan that's in attendance, since there's not many, to just say their name, the seat they're in, and what high school they went to. That's how few people were at the Twins game.
He draws the foul.
That's a great foul. That's a hard-earned foul right there.
You try to have fun. You try to be nice. And, you could have gone with a skyline shot. My favorite skyline shot. You could have just done that.
What do you mean your favorite skyline shot? You like Minneapolis?
Well, no, I'm just saying,
I'm
saying my favorite, the skyline shot.
Ah, there it is. Pronunciation. Punctuation. All right. Let's get to what happened last night in the Padres game. Speaking of skyline shots. Wow. PNC Park?
Yeah, it was gorgeous last night.
That probably makes up for it being cold. Plus the fact that, I'm sure you have, because you've worked a lot of Padres games, and every time that they go to Pittsburgh, you have to hear Dave Marquez bitch moan and complain about it. Nobody hates the city of Pittsburgh more than Dave Marquez.
That is a fact.
Dave hates Pittsburgh and hates having an off day in Pittsburgh, which, by the way, Dave, good luck. Good news for you. No off days in Pittsburgh this year, because there's nothing to do, he says, in Pittsburgh, in downtown Pittsburgh. They don't even have a movie theater, he says. So Dave on off days goes to the movie theater, which, by the way, in this day and age, are there any movies worth going out to seeing anymore? I mean, I can't tell you the last time I saw a movie preview. I really want to see this.
What's the one? The Pixar movie.
Oh yeah, that one, a Pixar movie. You like cute little cartoons?
Yeah, of course.
I don't hate on that. I can't tell you the last time I saw a new Pixar movie. I think after I stopped being a kid. I think it's different now when you have nieces and nephews, or kids in your family. You get to go watch that and enjoy Pixar movies with them. But we don't have those in my family.
Oh, Hoppers. That's the one.
What is it?
I would love to see Hoppers.
Hoppers?
Yeah, it's new. I would love to see Hoppers.
What is that about?
You know the video? You know the meme with the lizard that you're seeing now? The one where press the button lizard.
Oh, yeah, he's
yeah, that's from that. Yeah, that's a character
Hoppers.
From Hoppers. Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway, Dave complains because there's no movie theater in Pittsburgh. So there you go. I think I saw Top Gun. Top Gun Maverick might be the last movie I saw in theaters. It might be. And I love movies. I absolutely love movies. I saw the other day, so last weekend, when or whatever it was, last weekend, 2 weekends ago, whatever it was, when the opening day weekend, Sunday after checking out of the hotel downtown, went over to Coronado for brunch, walking through Coronado, and Coronado's theater on Orange, they play old movies and do one night only, so
nice.
They had Indiana Jones that night.
Oh, nice.
I'm I would pay money to watch that. I've seen that movie probably thousands of times. Seeing that in the theater would be kind of cool. Get the theater experience again. Anyway, let's talk about last night in terms of the pitching staff for the Padres as we kind of rope it back in and get off of our tangents. Germán Marquez, real improvement in his second start. Now, If you look at his quick line, 5 innings, no runs, 6 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. The big difference, I think, was the fact that he had 13 whiffs, which is a big jump from just 2 in his first start. 26% on his called strikes plus whiffs. Still a bit below in terms of, or still a little bit low in terms of dominance, but whiffs were way up, which is good news for Germán Márquez because he had like 2 in his first start. He worked out of a couple of jams, including O'Neal Cruz with O'Neal Cruz on third and 1 out in the 5th, using veteran savvy and better pitch execution. But here's where he improved the most from his start against the Giants on March 31st. He got an F grade in his start against the Giants. 4 earned runs in 3 innings, 2 home runs, and he upgraded that to a B plus for the regular season performance. He went from an F to a B plus. That's how drastically better he was in this start. 0 runs allowed, and he went deeper into the game. Great to see. Whiff generation. Only 2 whiffs for San Francisco, 13 whiffs against the Pirates. Knuckle curve was the star last night. We heard Tony Gwynn Jr. talking about it on the broadcast yesterday, generating 38.1% whiff rate on 42 pitches thrown. Command and location. Location improved slightly. His locations against the Giants were a D. He upgraded to a D plus. He still has had some issues with his command, as he still struggled a bit versus lefties. Got a D grade versus lefties. Got a C minus against righties. So the location and command is still a little bit off. I think Ruben Niebla can help him a little bit. In terms of stuff, raw stuff grade stayed at a C, not elite, but the curveball played up huge. 109 on the pro stuff plus. On one of the charts that we saw that we're breaking down, 118 on the PLV stuff plus. Both of those accounts do the breakdowns on these pitchers on social media if you want to give them a follow. The usage, he leaned even more into that fastball curve mix yesterday. 4-seam fastball at 47%, through his knuckle curve at 46%. Obviously, the 2 biggest pitches that he used yesterday, and he got away from the sinker. He only threw 5 to 7 sinkers last night and barely used his changeup or slider. So that obviously wasn't part of the recipe to beat the Pirates yesterday. Velocity is still relatively the same that where he was at in his last start against the Giants. 4-seam fastball, again, like I mentioned, used it 47% of the time. The biggest deal was he improved his whiff rate. 25% whiff rate on his fastball, which he got 0 against the Giants, Frank. That is very encouraging for Germán Márquez. And when you go through a lot of these analytics, he dumped the sinker off. He didn't use the changeup or the slider at all. He went fastball, knuckle curve. Knuckle curve was working. He played to his strengths. He wasn't overly dominant, but he pitched well enough for the Padres to win. And you know what? He pitched well enough to stay on this team.
Yeah, absolutely. He bought himself another outing for sure. And again, that was a game that at times could have gotten away from him and brought it right back in. So a great performance by Germán Márquez, had better stuff. And again, there's really nothing to complain about. And now he's going to get to face his former team. And I mean, if you want to look at it in the most positive way you can, he's got a third of the wins this year than he had last year already.
I like the outing, but now leads to the question of the good of that outing leads to the bad of, like, you have some difficult decisions to make. So let's talk about what Germán Márquez has done and what Walker Buehler has done so far this year. And then let's talk about what could potentially happen with Matt Waldron. And as I look at it, and you kind of almost have to just pull up the stats for the Padres of what these two pitchers have done. I mean, Germán Márquez, terrible outing in his first outing, dominant outing in his second. Buehler, average outing in his first outing, not a great outing in his second outing. And when you look at their numbers overall, I mean, they're very somewhat, comparable. I mean, neither is winning a Cy Young with these numbers. Let's not get crazy here. But has either of them shown that they are definitely the for sure answer to keep on the roster when Griffin Canning comes back?
No.
I don't think that's the case either. I think you need more. And unfortunately for the Padres, there's not much more you can get out of some of these guys. Now, I will say this. So here's the interesting comparison. Germán Márquez and Walker Buehler, same age right now. Walker Buehler got a negative 0.2 B WAR. Germán Marquez, with his outing last night, upped his B WAR to 0.1. In fact, he's actually the third best pitcher on this team in the starting rotation.
There you go.
If you go on base, let me ask you this question. I gave you an answer already, but if you redid the rotation based on B WAR, who's your ace right now?
Vasquez.
Who's your number 2?
King.
Who's your number 3? I gave you that answer.
Yeah.
Marquez. Who's your 4?
I would have to assume Pivetta.
Negative 0.1.
And then Buehler, 5.
And then Buehler's a negative 0.2. ERA for Germán Marquez after that outing, 4.5 ERA in his 2 starts and 8 innings. Walker Buehler, 9.45 ERA in his 6 2/3 innings. I would say that the nod is to Marquez right now, but I mean, at the same time, Germán Marquez still had that huge clunker of an outing. We'll see. I need at least one more time through the rotation for both Buehler and Marquez, which I think you're going to get because I don't think Waldron's coming back this week. And maybe you make the decision after they both go. Maybe you make the decision on Sunday. But as of right now, I think Marquez, with the way he pitched yesterday on the bounce back, it might be recency bias, but you look at the overall numbers for the year, Marquez gave you 8 innings. That's how many innings Nick Pivetta's given you this year. Walker Buehler's given you the least amount of innings in the starting rotation with 6.2 as your 2 trips through the rotation, and he's got the highest ERA. And here's the other thing, too. Germán Marquez is getting paid more than Walker Buehler is, too. That's another factor as part of this conversation. I mean, you gave Germán Marquez a major league deal, and I know Walker Buehler's got, it's not like he's making league minimum. He's making like $1 million. He's probably making veteran minimum, whatever that is. But I lean heavily on Germán Marquez right now than Walker Buehler. But has Walker Buehler pitched terrible enough to replace him with Matt Waldron? That's a different question. And I don't think that's going to be answered until you see his next start. I mean, all of the pressure that you and I, not that he listens to the show or pays attention, but all the pressure we set for Germán Marquez yesterday because, reading the tea leaves of what things need to happen going yesterday's start, I think all that pressure has now been sent to Walker Buehler.
Yeah, 100%. I believe that absolutely. And for Buehler, like I said yesterday, we talked about it off air after the show in between recording those break videos that we were doing. I wonder if Buehler would take a run in the bullpen as kind of like a Kyle Hart long relief type of guy. Because if he's only going to give you 2 good innings, that's not a starter, not just for the Padres. That's not a starter in Major League Baseball. So maybe you've committed to paying him when you didn't have to. He was a non-roster invitee going into spring training. Maybe you can move him to the bullpen to help free up some space for one of these guys to be able to get in and get some starts and also keep Buehler around.
That's the conversation you have to have with Walker Buehler of the sense of, do you still want to be on a team that has a potential to win? Because if we let you go and the teams that are going to be interested in picking you up as a starter are teams that aren't going to be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not. I mean, you're going to get picked up by like the Rockies. So it'd be your choice. Do you want to be a starter on the Rockies to still be a starting pitcher? Or do you want to be a bullpen piece for the Padres? And that is an interesting question. And the other thing, too, that they could do is be like, hey, you could spot start every once in a while as well. Yeah. He becomes your long relief guy, maybe, in that particular sense. And then that leads to other questions with the bullpen because you still have to make these decisions of Canning and Musgrove when they come back. You have to make a Matt Waldron decision. Oh, and by the way, Jason Adams coming back, too. And if Wandy Peralta and Yuki Matsui continue to not do well, and Yuki Matsui is another guy you have to make a decision on when he comes back. This is involving, unfortunately for the Padres, the guys that are doing very well, the ones that don't make a lot of money.
Yep.
And the ones that aren't doing well are making a lot of money. We talked about the Peralta thing yesterday. I mean, you have to be patient with Wandy Peralta because you're going to have to pay him like $9 million to go away. Which, in this sense of the Padres, for everything they've said of why they cannot be big spenders during free agency, I can't imagine them being willing to just cut a guy for $9 million without trying to make something happen. So a lot of interesting decisions to be made for the Padres in the next couple of weeks, and I don't think you can make that decision now. I think you need to see what Walker Buehler's got. Now, if Walker Buehler goes out and gives you 5 innings against the Rockies, If he does the exact same thing Germán Marquez did yesterday, you're going to be in even more head-scratching terms of trying to figure out who to make a decision on. But it's going to play itself out. We'll see here in the next round through the rotation. But as of right now, yeah, Randy Vasquez leading the way in the starting rotation.
I think another important note here, Germán Marquez is used to pitching in Colorado. Walker Buehler's not. That series is here. So they are on an equal playing field against the Colorado Rockies here where they wouldn't be, of course.
That is also, correct. So we'll see how this week. I think the weekend's going to tell a little bit more about the Germán Marquez Walker Buehler competition. What's the latest with Matt Waldron? We'll talk about it in the 11 o'clock hour. All guests, join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. He's Frank Marquez. I'm Braden Surprenant. We are the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Talked a lot about the starting pitching already in the first hour because Germán Márquez was great yesterday. We'll talk more about the offense in a little bit, but with him being great, makes the decision-making for the Padres a little bit more complicated, if you will. Things get a little bit more interesting. Now, on top of that, with the situation of Griffin Canning's going to come back eventually, relatively soon, I would imagine, and with Walker Buehler and Marquez battling for the number 5 spot, because you cannot keep all of them, you throw in the Matt Waldron situation. Now, Matt Waldron, as detailed in a column by Tom Kraslovic, has completely reshaped his body and pitching philosophy this offseason. He lost 15 pounds, changed his diet, less pasta, more protein, according to the column, focused on explosiveness, doing weighted balls, pull downs, and his big goal during the offseason was increase his arm speed, increase pitch velocity, his philosophical shift from knuckleballer to a pitcher who uses a knuckleball. Well, that's all fun and dandy, right? But is he going to be a pitcher that can do that? To me, the biggest thing on Matt Waldron, the biggest thing for me on Matt Waldron was the reason why he got pulled up to the big leagues in the first place was because he threw a knuckleball that not a lot of people see. Am I wrong in saying that, Frank? I feel like that's kind of been the case for Matt Waldron so far in his career.
I wouldn't say different, no.
I think the big reason why he has gotten this opportunity is because he throws the knuckleball. He is a knuckleball pitcher. Now, he doesn't want to be considered a knuckleball pitcher, which is fine, but he's going to have to change some things. So he has changed his abilities and he went out and dieted and all this other stuff to try to gain velocity. He has done that. He's done a pretty good job gaining fastball velocity. His fastball velo in 2023 was 91 miles an hour. In 2024, it was 90 miles an hour. In 2025, it was 90 miles an hour. And right now, it's approximately 91.4 miles an hour and trending up again. In terms of his knuckleball velocity, previously 79, now up to 81. He hit 87 in the spring, which is eye-popping for a knuckleball. That's great to see. Again, his fastball, though, 91 mile an hour fastball, that's not coming in very hot, Frank.
Nah.
I mean, say what you want about Walker Buehler, say what you want about Germán Márquez, about their fastball. People are terrible. They're saying they're terrible at his fastball. Matt Waldron's upped his fastball to 91. Now, Padres analytics say knuckleball is significantly more effective above 81 miles an hour. I bet you it is. Faster fastball equals faster knuckleball. Hitters have less time to adjust, right? Now, excuse me.
Bless you.
The command, though, is a superpower because Waldron claims that a top 5 fastball command in baseball, he claims that he has a top 5 fastball command in baseball. And in AAA, 7 innings so far, no earned runs, no walks, 9 strikeouts, 71 to 77% strike rate. And his focus has been pounding the zone early, controlling counts. His key takeaway here is he's betting on command over pure velocity, which you could do, by the way. We saw, did we not see Germán Márquez do that yesterday? Did we not see that? I mean, we saw that yesterday. There are other ways to get guys out aside from dominating with speed. He's his evolution of his pitch mix. He previously leaned heavily on the knuckleball up to 75% usage and short MLB sample. Now, his knuckleball he's using 25% of the time. Increased usage of his fastball, his sinker, his cutter, and his sweeper, which is more unpredictable, less reliant on a notoriously inconsistent pitch. Here's the issue that comes with the rotation, though, is the timing and the roster pressure. Waldron is out of minor league options. He's currently on a rehab assignment, which is ending soon, and the Padres' decision is looming. Add him to the Major League Baseball roster or risk losing him on waivers. And if you add him to the roster, it's likely a promotion to either the bullpen or the back end of the rotation, which is part of the conversation we've been having. Now, MLB trends versus Matt Waldron's style. MLB average fastball for right-handed starters comes in at 94.7 miles an hour. Waldron is low 90s pitcher in a power era. comparable success model, pitchers like Jameson Taillon succeed with command and sequencing. So can a finesse command pitcher survive in today's velocity-dominated game? I'm going to get back to that in a second. Now, why the Padres are interested in Matt Waldron is because he's already showed flashes. 3.41 ERA over a 12-game stretch in 2024. Knuckleball giving hitters a different look. Hitters hate dealing with the knuckleball, and I understand that because it disrupts their timing. And if velocity and command combo holds, he could actually be a legit weapon. But my question is, can Matt Waldron actually be able to command his pitches enough and be elite at command to overcome his velocity issues? That's the question that needs to be answered for the Padres to add him to the rotation. To go back to that question, can a finesse command pitcher survive in today's velocity-dominated game? I think the answer is yes. Because I think he's going to be an anomaly now in Major League Baseball, or pitchers like him are going to be an anomaly now, where batters are not used to dealing with this guy. They're not used to dealing with these pitchers. I compare it to football. In football, the offense that defenses rarely have to go against are usually the ones that do a lot of damage. When you saw this high up-tempo offense for teams, remember when Oregon ran it with Chip Kelly? That was back in the mid 2010, was that in the 2010s when Chip Kelly was at Oregon, and they were snapping the ball every 12 seconds? It was hard to stop. Defenses were gassed. They weren't huddling. It was just, we're nonstop, going to go no huddle the entire time. It was very successful. But then over time, defenses started to adjust. And now, after you had situations of everybody getting built to stop the pass and having linebackers be built to stop the pass, but more smaller linebackers, guys that can get out in the coverage, guys that can disrupt, a lot of 4-2-5 defenses. You've seen a lot of teams with success be teams that can run the football. Why? Because they are now the team that you're not used to seeing. It's a little bit more common at the high school level. I mean, everybody went to spread, and then when, at least in my perspective of running a wing T, which we do not do anymore, it was tough for teams to have to deal with the wing T offense because there's always moving parts and you're not used to seeing it. You don't practice it. So everybody in baseball, the anomaly was none other than Aroldis Chapman, right? Aroldis Chapman, when he first came on with Cincinnati, they called him the Cuban Missile. He's throwing like 104 miles an hour. I mean, Tony Gwynn Jr. saw that 104 come off the radar gun at Petco Park. That was like 2010. But now everybody throws that high velo, and offenses are getting used to timing and trying to hit high velocity. You see it a lot more often, and guys that just kind of twirl pitches in there or use their command are few and far between, but those are still going to be pitchers that have success. So when you're a guy like Matt Waldron, he needed the knuckleball to get him in a position to be considered for a major league spot. He's going to have high command all the time. If he can successfully do that, he might be able to earn a spot onto this roster. But if he can't, then the Padres it's not going to work out. And the Padres right now, the decision for them to make is, are we worth taking a risk on parting ways with two guys that are veterans that have had successful careers in the past that we try to channel back? Are we willing to give up one of those guys for what is a risk in Matt Waldron? Because Matt Waldron has done everything he could to get to this point of raising his velocity, and his fastball still sits at 91. The knuckleball is the big piece for Matt Waldron, but if he gets wild or leaks anything over the plate, it could be disastrous. And now you're going with a Jekyll and Hyde pitcher in Matt Waldron, instead of somebody that maybe we can get that success that we've seen at the major league level back out of him in a guy like Walker Buehler or Germán Márquez. So when you look at how Matt Waldron has reinvented himself, Frank, and you think about this conversation, I just look at, I wouldn't say guarantees, but you know what you're getting, and you know what you could potentially get out of Walker Buehler and Germán Márquez. Matt Waldron is very much a big roll of the dice if you decide to part ways with one of those two guys to put him on the roster.
Right. And I think a lot of teams that, and you brought this up a while ago, is that he might stay in the Padres system because you don't have a catcher. Most teams don't have a catcher that can catch the knuckleball because it is so rare. So I have a feeling that no matter what the situation is, he's most likely going to end up staying within the organization in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, I think it would be a calculated risk to throw Matt Waldron and give him the opportunity as well. Because again, you have that knuckleball that he's got, which is going to be something that he can use to keep hitters off balance. It's, can he do enough with his standard normal stuff to keep hitters off balance, which I think is going to be the real question mark.
I think Matt Waldron can get major league outs, being a guy that, as we mentioned before, with the question that I asked of can finesse command pitcher survive in today's velocity dominated game. I absolutely believe that. There's a lot of pitchers that have done that. Here's the other question. I just can't. Here's maybe this is the determining factor for the Padres. What's riskier for the Padres right now? You ready for this? What's riskier for the Padres? Because this is all about keeping as much value as possible and limiting risk. Now, AJ Preller is a guy that has rolled the dice a lot. And he rolls the dice on this roster all the time. What is riskier for the Padres? Getting rid of Walker Buehler or Germán Márquez to see if Matt Waldron can pitch at the big league level. Or sneaking Matt Waldron through waivers and hoping nobody picks him up. What is riskier to the Padres?
I would say dropping one of the two starters.
I think dropping one of the two starters is for sure riskier. Because let's talk about this for a second in terms of who would pick up Matt Waldron. Matt Waldron is trying to turn himself into a different style of pitcher. He is working on doing that, right? His fastball comes in at 91. What MLB team right now who doesn't have any catcher that's used to catching a knuckleball or who has, hasn't worked with this guy at all, who, what MLB team is going to pick up a starting pitcher that throws 90 to 91 miles an hour and he's going to be on their roster this season? Start looking through some of the guys. I mean, is that going to be the case for a lot of these teams? I know he hit like up to 94 on his MPH, but his average fastball right now is 91. Who's going to do that aside from maybe somebody really bad that might need an arm? But even those teams, Frank, maybe it's the same thing with the value of that the Padres thought. I think the Padres had more thought Luis Arraez brought more value to their team than a lot of other teams on that finesse side. If based on what we saw with Luis Arraez during the offseason, I know it's pitching and hitting, but I just feel like teams are not willing to take the risk on the finesse players as much as they are on the guys that throw incredibly hard.
I can agree with that to an extent. I think that there's still a place in baseball for a finesse pitcher.
No, I agree. And but I'm saying is anybody going to add Waldron to the rotation right now?
Not right now.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so right now. I think if there is a place for it, it's more suited in the starting rotation than it is in the bullpen, though, which helps Waldron because he is a starter. So I don't see anyone picking him up if they were to assign him to El Paso, but I don't also see him hanging around too long here. Now, you could get around it. Like I said, if Buehler was willing to come up, you could theoretically send down a Bradley Rodriguez, move Buehler to the bullpen, so this way you still have those two, and you have Waldron up, and you don't lose a guy because Bradley has an option. That is something you can do to get creative with it, but I don't know if that would be the best long-term decision the Padres could make.
There's a lot of times where guys get through waivers that I thought for sure are going to get picked up.
Yeah.
I just think in terms of risk of trying to keep as many of these players part of the organization as possible, you try to put him through waivers and he goes down to the minor leagues. And at that point, I don't think he gets any like decisions where he could just opt out. I mean, the only way is if he clears waivers, he can opt in a free agency and try to sign with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Or he could just stick down in the minor leagues and hope that somebody gets hurt. But I think the move for the Padres. Now, this is all dependent on whether or not Walker Buehler and Germán Márquez do anything, right? So if Germán Márquez or Walker Buehler have a clunker, or they both have clunkers, the conversation becomes a lot easier. You just add Matt Waldron, see what he's got, and then part ways with somebody you don't think is going to be able to contribute to the team. But if Walker Buehler goes 5 innings and 2 runs on Friday, and you win, and Germán Márquez does the same thing, 5 innings, less than 3 runs, and they both have solid outings, I think the situation is trying to sneak Matt Waldron through waivers, maybe more than just open-ending, just letting one of Walker Buehler or Germán Márquez go. Because I do think their names are going to get him picked up by a team more than Matt Waldron's name is.
Yes.
Matt Waldron hasn't done anything at the major league level enough to be like, oh, this is a no-brainer. Let's pick this guy up. It would be do we think we can kind of make this work? And I don't think any competing teams are going to do it. So if you lose Matt Waldron, he's going to be on a team that's not very good. That's just the risk I think you have to take. Now, you could see a situation where maybe a good team picks him up. I find that hard to believe at this point in the season that a team that is expected to contend is adding to the rotation this early in the season and is picking up a 91-mile-an-hour fastball thrower and a guy that throws a knuckleball.
Someone in chat mentioned the Rangers because they have Kyle Higashioka. If that's the case, fine. He's out of the league.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it anymore.
So that's not really a concern, and it's, well, best of luck to you. For a guy like Matt Waldron, though, he's one of those guys where you want to see what he's got. You want to give him the chance because he's got something unique that no one else has. However, his other stuff around, he doesn't want to be known as that guy. He wants to use his other stuff. There really hasn't been a guy like if you have a knuckleball, you're a
embrace
knuckleballer.
The knuckleball more.
Yeah.
That's what makes him. His knuckleball is elite, but his other stuff is average.
Yeah,
at best.
And you don't see that with other pitchers. Like a Tim Wakefield wasn't trying to be known as a guy with a knuckleball. He was a knuckleballer. That is something so Waldron is trying to create a new avenue for himself when he's already got a very special avenue already that he doesn't want to be known for.
We need to take a break. We'll continue the conversation when we come back. But here's another question as we go to break. You've had 3 years with Matt Waldron at least. You would think in the 3 years you would know what he's got. Compared to this is the first year of having Walker Buehler and Germán Márquez. Maybe that is a factor as part of this as well. If maybe what Matt Waldron's ceiling could potentially be. But this is an interesting conversation and an interesting decision the Padres will have to make. But we'll see what happens on Friday and Saturday. I still think they need to go through the rotation one more time before they start making any of these decisions. And this is before we even talk about.
And again, I'm seeing 394 Ron in the chat. Waldron was throwing 95 in spring. When we say 91 miles an hour, that's his average. We're not saying fastball. Yeah, we're not saying that he's capping out at 91. We're saying that is his average fastball.
Correct. So that's the report that Tom Kraslovic had about where his average fastball is. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. What do you guys think? What should the Padres do with the rotation after Germán Márquez had a great outing? We'll get your answers on the other side of the Braden Surprenant Show. Setting Zimmerman Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. UCSD baseball is proving they're not just a hot team. They might be the team to beat in the Big West. They take 2 or 3 from Hawaii, improve the 10-2 in conference, and they're doing it in different ways. A 10-9 comeback win, then an 8-0 shutout. That shows you the balance that this team has, and that's what contenders look like. But here's the question: can they sustain it? because they're still leaving runners on base, and consistency on the mound hasn't always been there. Now they've got UC Santa Barbara coming up, and that's the test. If they win that series, this isn't just a good start. UCSD might be for real in the Big West. Another strong week for the Tritons, taking 2 or 3 from the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors baseball team and continuing to hold first place in the Big West at 10-2, something that they're going to try to do the rest of the year as they finish and continue Big West Conference play. But if you look at where we're at with UCSD baseball, Thursday night was chaos, and in a good way. Tritons rallied from a 4-run deficit to win 10-9, pounding out 16 hits and 7 doubles, tying a Division I program record, their Division I program record. It was a full lineup effort, 5 players with multi-hit games, and another example of how explosive this offense can be.
Yeah, Friday night, though, was a reset, a 6-3 loss, just 4 hits, and the lowest strikeout total of the season on the mound. That game showed the flip side of what the offense looks like when it cools off and things got tougher. Saturday responded the way a first-place team should, an 8-0 shutout victory, their first shutout win of the season, powered by 3 home runs and dominant pitching that held Hawaii to just 4 hits. So you saw the good, the bad, and then the fantastic over the course of this weekend for UC San Diego.
But the big story, this team is starting to show something important. It's starting to show balance. Earlier this season, UCSD was winning with offense alone. Now they can win slugfest, as they did 10-9 on Thursday. They can win clean, dominant games, 8-0 on Saturday, and they're learning how to respond after losses. That's the evolution of a real contender. And the key takeaways from this week of UCSD baseball: offense continues to produce at a high level. Power numbers are climbing. Camacho now double-digit home runs on the season. Pitching just delivered its first shutout of the year, but they're still leaving a lot of runners on base. That last part matters. 16 runners left on base Thursday alone. Again, against better teams, that can come back to bite you.
Yeah, absolutely. And still came out with a win in that game, but 16 runners left on base. That is a lot. Something we talk a lot about with the team downtown, leaving runners on base. Softball, though, mixed bag for Triton softball this weekend. They bounced back to take a game in the series against UC Riverside, and then won the rubber match, showing offensive life with back-to-back 12-run games, progress, but overall, they're still trying to climb out of an early conference hole and try to find that consistency. So split the first day of a doubleheader, and then came back on Saturday to take the series win. So solid enough weekend for Triton softball.
What's next? Well, now comes a big road test for the baseball team. A weekend series at UCSB against the Gauchos is never an easy task, and that's one of the better programs in the conference. It's a real measuring stick for a team currently sitting on top, and a real measuring stick to see if UCSD can, in fact, win this conference for the second time since being promoted to Division I. They already won it once as a newly formed D1 team. They weren't able to play in the NCAA tournament, of course, because of their transitioning phase where they're not allowed to compete in postseason play for 4 seasons. But they're in a really good spot to potentially play in their first NCAA tournament at the D1 level if they can continue this pace atop of the standings in the Big West. Now, the Big West is in their second year of a tournament. So UC Irvine will be hosting the Big West tournament at the end of the season. The winner of the tournament will make the NCAA tournament, not the winner of the regular season, which they have done for so many different years. So now in year 2 of the Big West tournament. So very big weekend series for the Tritons this weekend at the Gauchos. But the discussion topic is UCSD built to stay in first place, or are they riding a hot stretch? Right now, they absolutely look like a top 10 or top team in the Big West. But what separates good from great is consistency. Can the pitching show up every weekend? Can they clean up situational hitting and stranded runners? Because the offense is good enough to carry them far. If the pitching continues to develop, like we saw Saturday, this team isn't just a nice story. They're a legitimate threat to win the Big West Conference. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. I want to mention that all of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. Alongside Frank Marquez, I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's Urban Sports Station 97.3. The Fan. All right. So, again, we've been talking a lot about the starting pitching because Germán Márquez did great yesterday. We'll see what Walker Buehler does on Friday. I think he's pitching for his Padre life on Friday. He gets one more. He has any type of bad outing on Friday. I think the decision is simple for the Padres moving forward. But if he has a good outing, all of a sudden it makes it a little bit more interesting in the conversation. Now, the biggest difference, again, people are like finding different ways. Here's what's great and terrible about baseball, Frank. With baseball and the sport built on failure, but also a bunch of stats, you can use any little specific stat to prove your argument, and everybody's argument's going to have one stat to back it up. And then it's a view of which stat is more important to baseball than in your opinion. Yes. So we get that all the that's why this conversation for baseball on the radio is so easy. Everybody's got their own little biased opinions, myself included. And you find little tips and trades and stats that feed your biased opinion. And then you go to what your biased opinion is. And you'll just keep going to it over and over and over again. My take on this is I think it's less risky to try to sneak Matt Waldron through waivers than it is to potentially cut Walker Buehler or Germán Márquez. Now, if Germán Márquez or Walker Buehler has another clunker, it makes the job easier. But if they have good outings, I think you go with guys that have been proven starting pitchers over what could potentially be in Matt Waldron. I think it's worth taking that risk. That is my take on this particular situation. We're going to dive more into the offense here in the next couple of segments of last night. Later on in the show, we'll get you a preview of the Padres and the Pirates. Again, 3:40 start, 2:40 Eco Water SoCal Padres pregame show. They're going against Paul Skeens tonight for the first time. We'll see what Craig Stammen rolls out in the lineup. But the Padres have won 3 straight games, starting to put better at-bats together. And again, the bullpen is fresh and ready to go, especially after yesterday. Let's get to the phones. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Scott's Kevin in Chula Vista. Kevin, what's going on? Feeling better after 3 wins in a row?
Well, I want to tell you what, it's pretty funny. I'll just digress. You go over to Red Sox Digest, which is their version of a podcast after their games, and I picked that up on YouTube the other night. And oh my God, Braden, the East Coast fans, I mean, they're so much different. They want heads to roll in Boston. They want the ownership out, right on down to the water boy. They've had enough, and it was just kind of interesting and delightful to share misery because we certainly have done our share. So having said that, yeah, great for the boys. Thank goodness whatever they went through here, they've shaken themselves a little bit. Hopefully they can continue this upward trajectory because, as I said earlier, they've got to get off to a good start, whatever that looks like at this point. So having said that, getting over to Matt Waldron, I'm kind of in the been there, done that category with Matt. I think he's tried exceptionally hard. But when you look at the history of knuckleball pitchers in the major leagues, there's not that many, and that's for a reason. And so I want to see Walker Buehler and Marquez. Let's give them at least 5 different starts in 5 different situations. Get enough of a specimen sample before we make any decisions on those two. I would set out Waldron for assignment. See if anybody picks him up. Great, good for him. If not, we get him back. But there's plenty of other pitchers that can do what Matt Waldron does in different shapes and forms. So I'm not all of that concerned about losing him to begin with. I think that there's enough out there to where they can do just as well in a different situation. That's kind of where I'm at this point.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kevin. When it comes to that situation, and I think Kevin's on the right track when it comes to the Matt Waldron situation. That was the question I asked before going to break. Was we've seen Matt Waldron for the last 3 years now. I mean, how many more opportunities are you going to give a guy that is a knuckleballer? I mean, I know you love the knuckleball in itself, And I agree with Kevin on the fact the guy's been working his ass off to try to make an opportunity. And you know what? If you sneak him through waivers and he's still in the Padres, it's great. But if he doesn't, he gets picked up by a team that could use him right now. It's good for him. I mean, he's just trying to find an opportunity to get to the major leagues, right? So for me, like, I think you have to give Walker Buehler and Marquez a fair shake in 5 starts. I do agree with that. And so the unfortunate thing is how this thing is played out a little bit. And I honestly think, I mean, with Matt Waldron taking up, or should I say, with him getting injured during spring training, it kind of set him back a little bit. But I don't necessarily know Matt Waldron was going to pitch well enough to make this team in spring training. I really don't. So interesting to see this conversation, and it's going to be an interesting conversation going into the weekend. I think you have to give these guys a couple of opportunities, and I think you really need to lean on your pitching staff in terms of the coaching staff of what they think they could do and what they can't do. They're going to know. They're going to know if they can make Walker Buehler anything like he was before. They're going to know if they can make Germán Márquez anything like before. And I said it after his first start. I said with Germán Márquez after his first start, I'm like, I don't think this guy's got anything left. And they went out and did a really good job. So I think you got to give him a fair shake. Right now, Walker Buehler's not doing very well in his first 2 starts in a Padres uniform. I thought it was okay in his first start. But I think Kevin brings up a good point. I mean, right now, the question that we had going to break, you've seen this guy for 3 years. I don't think anything's going to drastically change, because he went through a more rigorous offseason.
I think that's something that you probably would have seen already, whether it had been in spring training, whether it would have been over offseason workouts. I think that's something you could have seen already. And I think there was enough of a change there that if this is a topic that's coming up, then something clearly has changed and impressed the front office to be like, yeah, maybe let's give this a look. But you could also say that he would have made the rotation out of spring training. And I think that right now it's just a little too early to be admitting that, okay, we made a mistake in the starting rotation. Let's give a new guy a look. I think it's a little bit more of a wait and see. With who you have now.
I think it's a wait and see too, because I think spring training was the opportunity for Walker Buehler to get regular season starts as opportunities. And for a guy that they gave enough starts to in spring training that they were satisfied with what he could do, to part ways with him after 2 starts in the big leagues, I think is a little bit of a short leash. I think that's a little nonsensical.
Yeah.
How many starts do you have to give Buehler Marquez? You agree with Kevin with a 5?
I would say 4 or 5. Yeah,
I think that's a fair way to figure out whether or not the guy's good or not. The only difference is now you have the timetable on Matt Waldron. I just think Matt Waldron getting hurt in spring training was just kicking the can down the road of what was probably going to be the inevitable of him not making this team from the beginning of the season. And then them having to sneak him through waivers anyway. So I think that's what they're going to have to do. I think they're going to have to sneak Matt Waldron through waivers. But who knows? Now, here's the thing. If one of these guys sucks in the next 2 starts, then it makes the conversation a little bit easier. But Germán Márquez made the conversation difficult.
Hold on real quick. Jordan in chat here. I saw that. Who are you talking about that's on the roster? Are you talking about Matt Waldron being on the roster? Yeah, we know he's on the roster. He's got to come off the IL at some point. And the question is, do you bring him up in place of one of either Buehler or Germán Márquez, or do you try to pass him through waivers? That's the conversation we're having. I don't know what you're on about.
We're going to move on to the offense when we come back. The offense has been pretty good, and they're starting to hit a lot better. I'm going to tell you right now, they have the second highest stat on that offensive side It's a very important one. We'll talk about what that is when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego Sports Station 97 through the Fan. The San Diego Gulls are one of the most unpredictable teams right now, and somehow it's working. They've got players getting called up, sent down, new prospects arriving, and through all that chaos, they're winning games. A huge 3-0 shutout over Tucson with playoff implications. A 6-3 win over Bakersfield where they dropped 5 goals in one period. And now you've got a top prospect like Roger McQueen stepping in and already making an impact in his first AHL game. Here's the thing. This isn't just a team trying to survive. They're building something. They're fast. They're aggressive. They're confident. But the big question is, can they keep this up with so much roster movement? Because if they can, this isn't just the playoff team, but a dangerous one coming up in the Calder Cup playoffs. If you're looking for one word to describe the San Diego Gulls right now, it's movement. Call-ups, assignments, debuts, and somehow they're still winning games in a very crucial spot of the season. Let's talk about some of the roster shakeups. Nathan Gauthier gets recalled, makes his NHL debut with the Anaheim Ducks, then gets sent back down to the Gulls. Tyson Hines earns a call-up, and the Gulls add serious young talent with Roger McQueen plus international prospects like Damian Clara and Lucas Peterson. That's a lot of change in a very short amount of time for a hockey team, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. And for a guy like Roger McQueen, who, by the way, let's give a foul to the San Diego Gulls. How is this guy not number 95?
Is it retired or something?
No, it's
not. I think only Willie O'Ree's number is retired.
Yeah, it is. And you give this kid number 26. Did no one in the Gulls merchandise department say, think of how much money we are going to make off of this kid's jersey?
I would buy a McQueen 95 jersey.
Yes.
The Gulls? Are you kidding me?
I would.
He picked 95 for when he was doing his photos with the Ducks. Is that what he's going to wear when he gets called up as 95 with Anaheim?
I mean, that's
might as well keep it the same, man.
Exactly, may as well. I mean, but for this team, it's great for them to get Nathan Gauthier back, one of their big name players. Tyson Hines, good luck in Anaheim. Hopefully, we don't see you again. And now you get these young international players that are coming in, such as Damian Clara and Lucas Peterson, to really help this team down the stretch, give this team some new life, a little bit of new legs, a new perspective going down into the stretch run of this season.
And on the ice, they've been lights out over the weekend. They were great.
Yes.
Despite all of that movement, the Gulls are producing. 3-0 shutout, a win over the Tucson Roadrunners, 6-3 win over the Bakersfield Condors. And that Tucson win, it's massive. That's the game that had playoff implications, and San Diego delivered. Callie Klang had 27 saves in his shutout. Strong defensive structure out of the Gulls, scoring first, which has been key all year. They now have a 3-point cushion for that final playoff spot as they try to climb the leaderboard a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back, let's talk about the new faces and making an immediate impact. Roger McQueen, first AHL game, already has a point. He's a 6'6", elite skating, high draft pedigree. This is a guy who could quickly become a problem for opponents. And then there's Damian Clara, fresh off a trip to the Olympics where he led all goaltenders in saves in the Olympics, not just in one round, but throughout the tournament, led all goaltenders in saves. And this isn't just roster depth. This is a high-end pipeline of talent that is arriving to San Diego and eventually to Anaheim in real time to help the Gulls for this playoff push.
And what's trending up right now is their offense and their identity. I mean, the identity has become clear. The team is fast, they're aggressive, they're resilient. They dropped 5 goals in a single period against Bakersfield, one of their best offensive stretches all season. Justin Bailey now leads the team with 22 goals. Sasha Pastajov still driving the offense with 50-plus points. Ryan Carpenter anchoring the power play, and maybe most importantly, this team believes that they're never out of a game.
Yeah, exactly. And the goaltending is what's really been doing it for them. Callie Klang stepping up in big moments consistently. A lot of depth scoring, production on multiple lines, which is huge, especially down the stretch of a playoff season. Special teams, power play and penalty kill now both delivering. Remember, when we started doing these updates at the beginning of the year, it was the penalty kill that was really hurting San Diego, and they've completely turned that around. And when they score first, They're 21-6-5-2. So this is a team that knows how to close once they get the lead. The issue recently has been getting that lead. They've been fighting from underneath. They did not have to do that this week, and you saw they went a perfect 2-0.
What's coming up next? They hit the road to face San Jose, the Barracuda next. And this is where things get interesting. Can they maintain momentum with constant roster changes? Can the young guys keep producing? And can they hold on to that playoff position? I think it'd be very disappointing for this Gulls team, despite the last couple of seasons and having to just send all of their best talent up north to Anaheim. To see them and the season that they have had not end and them going to the playoffs would be a shame to what this team has been able to accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely. And for all the roster moves that they've had to endure over the course of this week, that's 5 big roster moves over the course of the last week. For them to go 2-0 in a week with that, that's a very
Enter for a chance to win a trip to the night before the draft in Pittsburgh, April 22nd. It's an all-star invite-only concert starring Jason Aldean, John Morgan, and Shane Prophet, just days before Jason Aldean's new album, Songs About Us, drops April 24th. Enter the national contest at odyssey.com/the night before. Moving it through the day today. We've got a lot to talk about still, as we talked most of the time on the San Diego Padres and Germán Marquez. I thought that was the story of yesterday. We haven't even talked about the offense yet. The offense has been great.
About 6 for 11 out of the bottom 3 in the order last night. How about that?
It's awesome. It's awesome. I'm sure we'll start getting the Xander hate here in a second on the deal, but the Padres, as I went to break, he did. Yeah. His OPS is very low. Hitting as high as what is he hitting now? Like 235 or something like that. I checked last night. It's almost impossible to do what Xander Bogaerts has done. He's hitting 231 with a 568 OPS. That's almost impossible to do. He's hit a lot of singles. He does hit a lot of singles. He's got 9 hits on the year. He's 9 for 39, 2 doubles, and 3 RBIs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Xander Bogaerts only struck out 3 times this year. That's pretty cool. He actually has the least amount of strikeouts on the entire team. The only one that has less strikeouts than Xander Bogaerts, Ty France. He's got 2 in 8 plate appearances. Xander Bogaerts has 3 strikeouts in 42 plate appearances. He's going to put the ball in play. What did the Padres have statistically last night that was good? They had 13 hard hit balls last night, which was awesome. And the stat that I talked about going to break, that they're the second best in an offense, they have the second best average bat speed out of any team in Major League Baseball. They're swinging the bat harder. They're hitting the ball harder.
I think I saw the same thing you did. Was that second best average bat speed, or was it the second best improvement in bat speed?
I think they actually have both. But I think the one that you're talking about is the
one I saw. Yeah, the one I saw was improvement.
They might have the second fastest bat speed in the game too, because their bat speed's been crazy. So the offense has been a lot better, but these guys are hitting the ball incredibly hard, and eventually that's going to drop in for hits. They have also gotten really unlucky, but you saw yesterday what this offense could potentially do, putting up 5 runs. You saw that again on Sunday, where they put up, was it 8 runs on Sunday? They have the ability to do it, and they have showing it analytically. And when you look at the way that they're hitting, again, people like old school people are like, I just care about the results. Well, yeah, that's fine. We're 10 games in, though, and when I'm telling you it's never as bad as it thinks, it's never as good as it thinks, as you think, you look at the analytics and realize that they're hitting the ball very hard, which is the good thing. If they weren't hitting the ball very hard and they were getting out, then yes, you could say that they suck. But that's not the case. Before we talk more about the Padres offense, we do need to get to today's sports thread.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what we got going on in the sports world today that's not Padres related?
Most of the stuff that we mentioned yesterday but didn't get to talk about
Number
in depth.
one.
We're going to do that now. North Carolina Tar Heels are targeting Michael Malone as their next head coach in a surprising move that shifts away from traditional college hires. Malone, a Denver Nuggets championship-winning coach with over 500 career NBA wins, brings nearly 25 years of professional experience despite not coaching in college since 2001. His strong reputation and backing from program legends like Michael Jordan and Roy Williams helped solidify the decision after UNC missed on several top college candidates. He replaces Hubert Davis, who was fired following consecutive early NCAA tournament exits. The hire reflects a growing trend of college basketball adopting a more professional model, with UNC betting on Malone's experience and tactical expertise to restore the program to a national title contender. Do you think hiring an NBA coach like Malone without recent college experience is a smart move for a blue blood program like UNC, or is college coaching experience still essential for success?
I don't think they need college experience. I mean, at this point in time, most of these organizations are run like professional teams anyway. Mm-hmm. You probably want to try to get guys that have professional experience more than college experience.
It's also the second professional coach now in their 2 big sports that they've hired a pro coach in.
And they got a general manager for football, and we'll see. I mean, the football situation's a little bit different. There's some nepotism in there with, like, they're going to hand the team off to, like, Belichick's son or something like that. That's kind of crazy. But at this point, it's not like it used to be where they have to be, like, really good in recruiting. Now it's like, how much money can you offer these kids? Because it's all about money now anyway. And you can buy championships in college athletics. Like you saw that yesterday with Michigan winning the national championship. And write a blank check to 5 guys in the transfer portal.
And because of that, Tennessee's women's team has no players. Their roster is 0.
That's not uncommon. I mean, last year we saw that with Arkansas before Calipari showed up, or 2 years ago, whenever it was. He was like, I'd talk to the team, but we don't have one. I mean, think about that for the Tennessee women's basketball team. They have one player that's going to be on the roster. She's not even there yet. She's an incoming freshman. It's beyond ridiculous. But to go back to this Malone situation, his daughter's on the volleyball team, so that's probably an easy sell for him to take that job. And I think it's almost better being a college coach than it's being a professional coach in this day and age. You're going to get paid way more money, most likely as a college coach. You don't have to worry about a lot of different things. A lot of your success just comes on, like, how much money your boosters have. And you could, and when you sign these big contracts, they're all guaranteed. They got to buy you out of them, and then they pay you to go away. Mm-hmm. I'd much rather coach in college than in the NBA.
Oh, boy.
Number 2.
Speaking of professional sports, the Chicago Sky have traded 2-time All-Star Angel Reese to the Atlanta Dream in exchange for 2 first-round picks, along with a 2028 second-round swap. Reese is one of the league's most dominant rebounders because she's picking up her own misses, averaging 14.7 points and 12.6 rebounds, and led the WNBA in double-doubles last season, also because she's picking up her own misses. Making NBA history as the only player to average 12-plus rebounds in multiple seasons. Do I need to say it again? While Reese did not formally request a trade, tensions with Chicago stemming from public criticism of the roster played a role in the move. Atlanta adds a major front court presence to pair with stars like Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard, while Chicago pivots towards a rebuild with significant future draft capital after missing the playoffs in consecutive seasons. Did the Sky make the right move into trading a young star like Reese for future picks, or should the team prioritize building around proven talent instead of resetting?
I don't know. We ask you whether or not it's a good move to trade away Angel Reese.
Yeah,
I think it probably is. I think she's a massive distraction.
I really do. It's all about her. It seems like it's all about her. I don't know how you could build a team around somebody that's all about themselves. So
she's the reason people watch the WNBA.
That's right. That's the reason. She's the sole reason why people watch the NBA. Yep. So WNBA, maybe they should have kept her for that sake.
Yeah.
Their ratings are about to plummet.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were thinking.
I have no idea either.
No idea.
Number 3.
Good thing she's got all those rebounds, though.
Yep.
Top me bounder, too.
Dexter Lawrence has requested a trade from the New York Giants and will skip offseason workouts amid stalled contract negotiations. Despite having 2 years left on his deal, Lawrence has been seeking a new contract that reflects his value as a cornerstone defensive player, but talks have shown no progress over multiple off seasons. A 3-time Pro Bowler and 2-time All-Pro, Lawrence remains a key figure for the Giants team, now led by head coach John Harbaugh, who emphasizes his importance to the roster. However, coming off of a down 2025 season with the team in transition, the situation signals growing tension and raises the possibility that the Giants could move on from one of their defensive anchors. Should the Giants prioritize extending Lawrence as a foundational player or consider trading him while his value is still high?
It just depends how much of the rebuild they want to go into. I mean, they might be able to get a couple of good draft picks out of Lawrence if they really want to, but I mean, you don't really want to part ways with a lot of your, linemen if you can. So if he wants to demand a trade and be part of this, I mean, at this point, when are you competing in New York anyway? Like what they got probably a high draft pick right now, right? Don't they?
Yeah, they do.
What is it, like the second or third or something like that?
It's definitely in the top 5. I still don't care about the draft yet.
I love the draft. I think at this point you might as well stockpile a bunch of draft picks. You got your quarterback now in Jackson Dart. You got your head coach. I'd start cleaning house in New York and start building with younger players. So I think you could get a pretty good draft. I think you get a pretty good haul for Dexter Lawrence. I don't think it's going to be like earth shattering, but get rid of Dexter Lawrence. Doesn't want to be there anymore. Start adding draft picks. It's a win-win. In the NFL, especially if you're a team that's rebuilding, you don't need any veterans. You don't need a lot of veterans on your team, especially ones that are eventually going to cost a lot. Send them elsewhere. Go get a younger version of Dexter Lawrence.
Yep, I agree.
Number 4.
The Raiders, now this happened a couple days ago. The Raiders have agreed to a deal with veteran quarterback Kirk Cousins, bringing the 4-time Pro Bowler on a contract that includes $20 million guaranteed for 2026 and could reach up to $172 million over the next 5 years. The move aligns with new head coach Clint Kubiak's plan to add an experienced quarterback, especially with the Raiders expected to be drafting rookie quarterback Fernando Mendoza with the number 1 overall pick. Cousins is likely to serve as a mentor and bridge starter, allowing a young quarterback time to develop rather than starting immediately. The signing reunites Cousins with Kubiak after their time in Minnesota with the Vikings and comes after Cousins' uneven stint with the Falcons. With limited options previously at quarterback, the Raiders now gain stability and leadership at a position where they are preparing for the future. Is signing a veteran like Cousins the right move for a team planning to draft a quarterback number 1 overall, or should they commit fully to one or the other?
I don't mind this move for the Raiders. What did it cost? It cost them did it cost them $20 million? Am I reading?
$20 million guaranteed for 2026 and could reach as high as 172 over 5 years.
I don't mind this move for the Raiders for a couple of reasons. One, they're not going to be competitive in next season. 2, when you have a guy like, it sounds like they're probably going to draft Mendoza. If you draft a rookie you draft the quarterback, it's better and you have more success. You don't feed him to the wolves. Because usually when you're drafting a quarterback, what happened the previous year?
You were bad.
You sucked, right? And teams that suck have what? Bad offensive lines. So if you're going to draft a quarterback, you don't want to throw him to the wolves and have him get smoked. Let Kirk Cousins do it. And if he signs, great. Now you're winning games. Let Mendoza learn on the side. Don't throw him out there to get killed. He's your prized possession. Let Kirk Cousins do that. Kirk Cousins takes a beating anyway. I think it's a good move for the Raiders if they're going to end up drafting Mendoza. He can learn how to be an NFL quarterback, and you don't have to have a stud teach him how to do that. New lunchtime hour when we come back. Padres offense. Take a deeper dive.
San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, No one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
New lunchtime hour on the Fan is brought to you by the Craft Taco. Bold flavors, 2 locations, Sorrento Valley and in Balboa Park's Natural History Museum.
I'm waiting for the tacos. Where the damn tacos at?
It is a Taco Tuesday. It is a Taco Tuesday. Go get your tacos at Craft Taco for a Taco Tuesday. Are you kidding me? By the way, it's also super easy to do. So you don't have to deal with the parking at Balboa Park. That Craft Taco is used by the delivery apps. So if you're in the North Park area, if you are downtown, if you are in South Park, if you're in City Heights, University Heights, and you want some tacos, jump on the app and order some Craft Taco to your door. It's simple. I bet you it could service a lot of other areas too. You know, we should do that one of these days. Order Craft Taco, have it delivered. Craft Taco. Love it. Go Aztecs, who lives in Oceanside, wants a Craft Taco closer to home. Don't we all? Don't we all want a Craft Taco in our local neighborhood? I want a Craft Taco in my local neighborhood. I'd walk down the street, pick up the Craft Taco. Be great. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's talk about the offense for the Padres from last night, from the last couple of days. Everybody wanted... It's so funny how 3 games and 3 wins changes everybody's attitude to this team, Frank. Isn't that amazing?
It's almost like we called it.
Yeah, almost like we called it. They're 5-5 in their first 10 games, the Padres are. Before we talk about the offense.
Really quick.
He draws the foul.
Chat foul. Nick Monte in the chat. A Craft Taco vending machine.
That sounds great. Unfortunately, Eddie would have to be back there making the tacos in the back of the vending machine, but that would be great. You know what? That's not a bad bit. We make a fake vending machine with a little kitchen in the back. They're just like handing tacos out of the vending machine. Eddie, good idea. Huh? What are we thinking? Do that in the next live remote. Have a Craft Taco vending machine, but it's just like it's just his like catering kitchen in the back. He's pushed the button and the order comes through. He's just handing the tacos out. I love it. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Nick Monte's onto something. He's like, you're down, Frank. Come on, man. We've got to love the YouTube chat.
Didn't we just say yesterday that tacos in a vending machine, not a great idea?
Crunchy tacos would not be a great idea. You could probably do soft tacos. Crunchy tacos in a vending machine would never work.
No.
Unless I guess you'd have to air fry it, but then you'd have to have the machine assemble the taco because you don't want to put a full taco in there because then what happens to the lettuce and the tomatoes and the stuff on top of like those crispy tacos? We're specifically talking about Taco Bell because we ruled that out of being a good vending machine for fast food. If you missed that bet, it's on our YouTube page, which real quick, make sure you're locked in with us on youtube.com. youtube.com/B_SURP at the Braden Surprenant YouTube channel. That's where you can catch full show, replays anytime, plus exclusive extra content you won't hear on air. Jump in the chat when we're live. Comment along with the show. Be part of the conversation. It's all right there, and it's completely free to subscribe. So, and if you really want to take it to the next level, we've got channel memberships with perks. We're building towards a members-only stream, so now's the time to get in early. Make sure you subscribe. It's free to subscribe. Turn on notifications. Don't miss anything. That's youtube.com/@B_SURP. All right. Padres are 5-5. How would you evaluate the first 10 games of the season for the San Diego Padres?
As expected. There have been some definite dips, The offense I was not expecting to be as bad, but as
to start the season.
Yes, but as far as the results are concerned, it's as expected.
Yeah. If I had to give one word before you even mentioned anything, I said in my head, expected. That was an expected start to the season. If you look at, again, I've said this so many times, in Major League Baseball, you're going to win 60 games, almost guaranteed. You are going to lose 60 games, almost guaranteed. It's what you do in the other 42 games that's going to determine whether or not you make the playoffs. So most of this is going to be 500 baseball. You are going to play 500 baseball for 120 games. Think about that for a second. That's every team. Now, there's anomalies mixed in there with teams that win over 100 games. But the reality is, most teams, aside from the extremely historically bad and the extremely historically good, are going to play 500 baseball for 120 games. They're going to play 500 ball. You make the playoffs based on 42 games. That's why we had the crucial 42 at the end of the season. We picked out the crucial 42 of the year that was going to determine whether or not the Padres made the playoffs or not. And you know what? They were pretty darn close to making that an impact to potentially win the division. Because last year when we did the crucial 42, Frank, and actually in the last 42 games, the Padres were even with the Dodgers in the division.
They were tied for first with 31 games left.
Correct. They had to outdo the Dodgers in a 31-game season. They did not. They lost the division. But that's how close this thing is for the entire year. So when people freak out to what did they start the year? 2 and what? 2 and 5? Is that what it is? They were 2 and 5?
This year, yes. Yeah.
And Padres were in last place at 2 and 5, last place in the National League. It was like, cut everybody. This is why we have stayed even keel here in the middle each and every day on the show, because through the first 10 games, I think you can evaluate this team as, okay, there's been some good. Randy Vasquez has been, I would say, some great. Randy Vasquez has been great in his first 2 starts. I mean, getting a 0.9 B-WAR out of Randy Vasquez in his first 2 starts, having him lead B-WAR in all of Major League Baseball as a starting pitcher, like first starting pitcher, I think is great. The fact that at this point in time, Randy Vasquez has been your best pitcher according to, in his first 2 outings and everybody going through the rotation twice, that's all great news of the Padres. I think that's been a huge plus. I think the bullpen has been great. Now, there's been a couple of times that they have had some rough issues, but overall, the bullpen's been solid. The bad, I think, has been the offense, but as of late, the offense has been a lot better. And we're going to talk about that here in a second. But as I evaluate these first 10 games, off to a slow start, starting to figure it out, doing well on the road, going to Boston, taking 2 out of 3. And if they can win today against Paul Skeens, which would be awesome, I'm not guaranteeing it, but if they can win a series in Pittsburgh, guess what they're at? They're actually ahead of where I thought they would be going into the series against Colorado, a 4-game series here this weekend at Petco Park. They're actually ahead of schedule. And I had them winning 91 games based on filling out the every game of the year on the Playoff Predictor website. That's the dedication I have for you fans out there. We try to bring as much content as possible. Spend hours doing that. I'll take 2 out of 3 here. They'll lose 2 out of 3 here. They'll, yada, 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 yada. So these are crucial games here the next couple of games. I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do against Paul Skeens tonight. But I thought yesterday Germán Márquez was good. I thought he earned another start in this rotation. And we talked about it for the first couple of hours that in these decisions that need to be made with the San Diego Padres, you have to give Buehler and Marquez 5 starts each to really get a sense of whether or not they can stay on the team for the entire year or not. I think a lot of people with the start to the season, as SD Flipper 743 in the YouTube chat said, I think the Padres getting off to such a great start last year had made people salty to the start to the season that they came out to this year. Again, 5-5 in your first 10, that's fine. You're going to get a lot of that throughout the season. There's going to be how many 10-game stretches, Frank, do you think the Padres are going to go 5-5?
There's going to be a good amount.
There's going to be a ton. In the middle of the season is not the big of a deal. At the beginning of the season, everybody freaks out. This guy sucks. This guy sucks. This guy can't play. Get this guy out of the rotation. Go replace all of these players with brand new players. We can't do this. We're cooked. We're cooked. I just think people are rooting for that, and so they want to continue to add that narrative to this team. Yeah, Wind Sox are upset about the start, dude. It's a good call there by Gonzo in the YouTube chat. All right. Let's talk about yesterday and some things that popped out from yesterday that we could dive into. And I want to start with the offense, but I want to start with Manny Machado. And Manny Machado was right, as he is. Process over the results. I think the process has been good enough for the Padres. I think they've gotten unlucky on offense, and you've seen multiple articles written about that in terms of hard hit percentage and where they're hitting the ball, what the expected numbers have been for a team that has high bat speed, high exit velos, hard hit percentage, high barrels, high. And with the early struggles and starting 2-4 to start the season and being bottom 5 in offense, that didn't shake the clubhouse belief that what they were doing was correct. Sometimes you just don't execute. And what Manny Machado emphasized yesterday was quality at-bats over results. Team-wide messaging was stay disciplined, grind pitchers down, and results will come. And now you're starting to see a lot of those results. Last 3 games, 11 hits, 5 walks versus the Pirates yesterday. 12 hits, 3 walks against the Red Sox on Sunday. And 167 pitches seen in grinded out in the grinded out win on Saturday, and you're back to a 500 record. But the key takeaway from these last 3 games and from the offensive philosophy is this is a philosophy-driven offense, not just talent-driven, and that makes the offense a well-rounded offense for the San Diego Padres, and why, yes, they were not getting the results early, but it had nothing to do with the process of this team, nor the philosophy, nor the talent, anything like that. Sometimes you get off to slow starts. And right now, I like the way the at-bats are going, and you're starting to see the results. And Frank, when we talked about this last week, again, we mentioned, they had 2 games in there that they looked like they didn't want to be there.
Yes.
2 games that looked like they were just lost at the plate. And I think a little bit of that was pressing and getting away from what gave them success. And now that they have been more disciplined in sticking to their process, we are starting to see the fruits of their labor.
Yeah, for sure. And that's, I don't think we really emphasized how much of a change that would be. You've had Victor Rodriguez here for the last couple of years, installing his offensive philosophy and what he wanted to do. Now you have Steven Souza Jr. here doing the same thing and trying to get people to buy into that. And it didn't start off well, especially early. The guys were swinging early and often, not getting hits, not getting rewarded for solid contact, but they stuck with it. And that is a big change when you've been taught for the last couple of years to go up to the plate, feeling a certain way, thinking a certain way, trying to do a certain thing. And now all of a sudden it's changed. Sure, in spring training, when the games don't really mean much, then yeah, that's one thing. But when you're starting to count these games, it does change the math a little bit. So that is a big change when you have a pitcher coach, hitting coach change, complete philosophy shift. It is different, and it does take time to adjust to. It's not an immediate switch.
Also, I think with Steven Souza Jr. in this offensive philosophy, I think it's a more modern version of baseball. Now, it's not going to get you in the home run category yet, but those home runs are going to come. And I've learned this over the last couple of years with talking with a lot of hitting coaches and guys that have had a lot of success coaching at different levels in baseball. But what you want to do is you want to grind. Let's just talk about the philosophy that the Dodgers do. I know nobody wants to hear this, but let's just, in case in point. Yes, they're very talented, but also at the same time, when the Padres face the Dodgers, what are they constantly doing?
Grinding out at bats.
Yeah, they are seeing a lot of pitches. They're fouling pitches off. They're working walks. They're passing the baton. They have set the stage for what an offense should look like in modern baseball, and that is getting into the bullpen. So, with that being said, as somebody that is also employing that philosophy, I have talked with multiple times. He said it best, and when his offenses are really good, they're doing this. You want to pass the baton to the next guy. You want traffic on the bases. You want selfless at-bats. And when you're hitting line drives and you're trying to hit gap to gap and you're punishing mistakes, the home runs will come because you will miss a little bit and then the ball will go over the fence because you are hitting and you're putting together a good process. And right now, this offense is sustainable for the whole year because what you want to create is you want to create an offense that can win in multiple ways. You don't just want a boomer bust offense relying on home runs. You don't just want a small ball offense of getting a guy on, stealing, right? Dropping down bunts. Don't get anybody started. Don't get any of the traditionalists that call into the show to talk about bunting. I don't want to hear it. Okay? But you have to be able to find different ways to win. So when one of those aspects is not working, you can adjust and still find ways to score runs. And right now, as you've seen in the last 3 games, you have seen the Padres do those things. They used the long ball on Sunday to win. They used the long ball on Sunday to win. They did not use the long ball last night to win. They have not always used the long ball to win, but they have that in their arsenal to be able to generate runs. And right now with this offense, it's sustainable because they are doing the right things in the box. They're spitting on the right pitches. They're fouling off the pitches that they need to foul off. They're passing a baton. It's not perfect all the time. You're not always going to get a perfect at-bat from players on this team. Sure, you're going to have bad at-bats, but you want to get QABs as much as possible. You want quality at-bats because the quality is going to outlast the quantity of maybe just relying on talent and hitting the ball as far as you can. And I think with that philosophy, with the talent that this Padres team has, I think they're just starting to show what they could be offensively. And now that they have had a couple of games in a row where they've been able to successfully do this, it's going to be tough against Skeens tonight. But if they can continue to rack up at bats like this and get Skeens out of the game early and really build on this, they could go on a little bit of a winning streak. And maybe it's not right now, maybe it's later in the year, but I like the at-bats Jackson Merrill's putting together. I like the at-bats that Xander Bogaerts is putting together. He's working a lot of walks as well. Freddie Fermin is not, you're not seeing it results-wise out of him or Jake Cronenworth, but you're seeing these guys get a lot of quality at-bats out there. And I think you saw that last night with getting the starting pitcher out of the game and running up his pitch count and then hitting mistakes. I think you saw that with Nick Castellanos. So is the Padres offense actually sustainable? If they can continue to stick to their process, I think this is a philosophy that's going to win this team a lot of games.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, if for those of you who think it can't be done with Paul Skeens, opening day, it was done. So you can
just hit it to O'Neal Cruz, dude. You'll be in a really good spot.
You can do it against Paul Skeens. He is human. He is susceptible. He can have a problem. He could have a very long day. And as AJ Cassavell wrote yesterday or a couple days ago, you finally get the matchup now. You finally get to see it. Merrill versus Skeens for the first time.
And you're going to see it in the first inning. Yep. We got the lineup. We'll tell you about it when we come back as we continue to talk about the Padres here on the Braden Surprenant Show. Static Zimmerman Sports Station 97 through the Fan. The Eagles' playoff collapse wasn't just a single play. It was a symptom of deeper issues. Jalen Hurts' preferences from shotgun over under center to changing plays at the line of scrimmage clashed with a passing game that struggled to stay dynamic. New offensive coordinator Sean Mannion brings motion, play action, and creativity, forcing Hurts to adapt like never before. The question is, though, can Philly's superstar quarterback evolve without losing his edge? With Brown's future uncertain and Smith ready to step up, 2026 could be a make-or-break year for the Philadelphia Eagles offense. The NFL never stops testing its stars, and Hurts is absolutely no exception. This week on our NFL weekly update, if you will, the NFL offseason, of course, is in full swing, and the Eagles' recent playoff collapse has everyone talking
The scene was dramatic. 43 seconds left in the wild card matchup against the Niners, and the Eagles were faced with a game-deciding fourth down. Offensive coordinator Kevin Patolo suggested a play. Quarterback Jalen Hurts had input, and the result was 4 verts, a play they just had run. 3 defenders coverage on tight end Dallas Goedert, and just like that, the Eagles season ended prematurely. But when you look at the inner breakdowns of this particular play in this latest article from ESPN, Frank, there seems to be a lot of problems going on behind the scenes between Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles staff.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, is how quickly all of this has kind of broken down. I mean, they were winning Super Bowls just a couple of years ago, and now you have such a fracture in this coaching staff, between coaching staff and your star quarterback, that it's now leading to what you saw on the field come the end of the season last year.
Right, and this failed play underscores deeper issues with the Eagles' passing game, which has struggled with predictability, lack of energy, and a reliance on Saquon Barkley to carry the load. Star wide receiver A.J. Brown's relationship with Hurts has been tested, especially amid trade rumors and mounting frustration over the offense's limitations. Hurts' strong preferences at quarterback, favoring shotgun over under center formations, adjusting plays on the fly, and managing the offense his way, have both helped and hindered this team. And now you enter Sean Mannion, who is the new offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. He brings a Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan style system, emphasizing motion, under center play action, and dynamic adjustments. For Hurts, now the sixth play caller of his career, entering the NFL in 2020. This represents the biggest schematic change he's faced. His adaptability will be crucial to Philly's 2026 outlook. But based on the past, Frank, this doesn't sound like it's going to jive very well between Jalen Hurts and Sean Mannion.
No, it's absolutely not. And it's going to should lead to Jalen Hurts leaving Philadelphia, because, I mean, you cannot have, it's not great for a guy like Jalen Hurts to have this many offensive coordinators and this many offensive play callers in such a short amount of time. That's not great. You want to have that one voice that you can trust, that one voice you can get used to, and that one voice that you can kind of read each other and feel the flow of the game through each other. So that has not helped him. But this, as far as what has been written in this article, for him wanting basically everything the opposite of everything that Mannion's bringing in, it's going to be very, very ugly in Philadelphia.
Despite the challenges that Hurts has faced, he has still been a better quarterback in the National Football League. His playoff performances and Super Bowl MVP obviously highlight his ability to thrive on the biggest stages, but still balancing his strong-willed leadership style with a new system and keeping star receivers like Brown or Devonta Smith engaged will be key. And the Eagles' offseason is all about chemistry, adaptation, and making sure their offensive firepower lives up to expectations. But the key takeaways for 2026 for the Eagles in this offense, they say that Hurts is open to new schemes, but he's going to be tested with Mannion's motion-heavy system and being under center. Brown may not be in Philly. Smith could take on a larger role in Philadelphia. Eagles must find balance between star power, coaching vision, and in-game adaptability. And the NFL continues to show that even championship rosters aren't immune to internal friction and the involving demands of elite quarterbacks. Now, the question I ask you, and the question I'll answer myself, is this enough for Jalen Hurts to buy in? Can the Eagles overcome these problems and be able to be successful in the fall of 2026, or is this going to be catastrophically bad?
I don't think this is going to work out. I really don't. I think this is going to be one of those catastrophically bad scenarios, and one that leads to a possible blow up in Philadelphia. We saw at the end of last year when Hurts took a bigger role in doing what he wanted to do. Didn't work out well for them. I don't see it lasting over the course of the season.
Yeah, unless Jalen Hurts changes his ways, which sounds like he's not going to. Or maybe he does. Who knows? But it takes a lot to get people like at this point in their lives to change. Unless there's a change, I don't see this working out in Philly. 12:24 in a new lunchtime hour. Taco Tuesday.
I'm waiting for the tacos. Where the damn tacos at?
Where are the tacos at, man?
Taco Tuesday. It's our first Friday show of the week.
You're going to confuse people talking about Friday, Monday shows.
We get 2 Monday shows, 2 Friday shows.
Because we're off tomorrow
Yes,
because the
we
Padres play at 9:35 in the morning tomorrow. He's Frank Marquez. I'm Braden Surprenant. We are broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. Yes, we do. Definitely know how. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking. It's better. We do need a contestant for a midday sports standoff. Does our question today have more than 5 answers?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
It has 8.
Wow. Who played yesterday? Johnny? I feel bad for Johnny. Got to go back in the past, the early 1900s to see who the Pirates played in a World Series game.
But hey, it's a solid question.
It's not bad. It's not your worst. That's a fact. Not your best either. You've had better. Okay. We need a contestant for a midday sports standoff when we come back. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Need a contestant for our midday sports standoff. If you could take me down in sports trivia, you would be qualified for a chance to win a pair of tickets to My Chemical Romance at Petco Park on August 30th. Tickets at Ticketmaster.com. 833-288-0973. We will be doing that in the next segment. Okay. Let's talk about today's lineup. We got the lineup today. Now, I will say this. The San Diego Padres currently employ 2 players that have actually seen Paul Skeens before. They have 2 players that have played against Paul Skeens. Neither of them are in the lineup. So everybody today in the Padres lineup will be seeing Paul Skeens for the first time. It is the exact same lineup as yesterday, with the exception of Miguel Andujar is now the designated hitter for the Padres over Nick Castellanos. Nick Castellanos, thanks for asking, he is one of the guys that has seen Paul Skeens before. If you look at the total numbers, Andujar's never seen Paul Skeens. Neither is Bogarts, neither is Camposano, neither is Cronenworth, neither is Fermin, neither is Bryce Johnson, Laureano, Machado, Merrill, Sheets, or Tatis Jr. None of them have seen Paul Skeens yet, at least in an MLB game. Machado and Tatis have seen him for Team USA when they played for the Dominican. Ty France has seen him 3 times. He's 1 for 3. Small sample size. Castellanos has seen him 6 times. He's 1 for 6. That's all I need to know about the Padres and missing Paul Skeens the last couple of years, which I wanted that bet to continue. I wanted that bit to continue. I thought it was kind of funny. They're like, playing the Pirates again. No Paul Skeens again. Pirates fans can't make the excuse now if the Padres beat Pittsburgh with Paul Skeens. Then it'd just be the complete control of beating the Pirates. How many games have they won in a row against the Pirates?
They've won 7 at PNC against the Pirates.
They must really love the sky back there, which is great because before that was like a place that they could never win.
Yeah, they've won 7 straight now.
7 straight at PNC.
Yes.
What you're saying.
Yeah, that's what the Pirates broadcaster said yesterday.
Oh, you know what? Maybe I can find. It's always hard for me to find like the matchup breakdown between these teams on Baseball Reference. I usually stumble across it like overall, like the last 10 games or so. I think the Padres have owned the Pirates in the last, like dating back to last year, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm trying to look that up right now. But anyway, the lineup today is Laureano, Tatis, Merrill, Machado, Bogarts, Sheets, Andujar, Fermin, Cronenworth, Nick Pivetta on the hill. That is the exact same lineup you saw yesterday for the Padres, minus Castellanos and Miguel Andujar flipping spots. I think that the key to today's game is the same as it was yesterday, Frank. You got a really good starting pitcher. You have a Pirates bullpen that's not very good. The difference is you have a starting pitcher that can match wits to a certain extent, and Nick Pivetta a little bit different than Germán Márquez, but you got to try to get the pitch count up on Paul Skeens as quickly as possible.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You got to get him out of the game as quickly as humanly possible. And looking at it right now, all time, the Padres are 246 and 275 against the Pirates. 246 and 275.
Is that like all time?
That is all time.
All right.
Last year they went 5-1.
Oh, they did drop one last year at home.
2024
They went
swept
6-0.
Yeah, they swept them. 23 they were 1-5, 4-2 in 2022, 4-3 in 21.
All right, I don't care anymore.
And then 1-6 in 19.
They had struggled there for a long time, but as of late, the Padres in their last 3 seasons, now albeit this season's only 1-0, the Padres are 12-1 against the Pirates in their last 13 games. That's pretty remarkable how much they have been able to beat up on the Pirates in the last 3 seasons, especially for a team that had struggled against this organization, especially at PNC. I mean, it had been a long time at PNC for them to win, but the Padres, it's always flipped. I hate that. It's like, head-to-head records, Pirates versus Padres. It's like, I got to flip it so it makes more sense for me. Are you surprised? I'm not surprised the lineup right now.
No, it worked. It worked yesterday. Keep rolling with it.
For a guy, if I remember, they're going to make tweaks and stuff like that. They're trying to find what works and what doesn't. They said they're going to be constantly moving the lineup around. Is this the most consistent lineup we've seen?
Yeah, this is
in back-to-back games.
Virtually the same exact lineup back-to-back games for the first time this year. I don't mind it. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of Ramon Laureano leading off, but it's with the way he has hit this year, that's not enough for me to go, come on, what are we doing having this guy leading off? It's not enough for me to do that.
What did Laureano do yesterday?
I think he was 1 for 5.
He was the first up the ante on the overall numbers for the Padres in terms of their leadoff guy, which has been terrible.
I don't want to watch it. I just want to see the box score, MLB, please. Thank you.
I hate that story they put on there, the preview thing, where it's like it's like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, Laureano went 1 for 5 with a run scored and an RBI. He only had 1 strikeout, but his average has dipped to 250.
Is tonight the night that a leadoff hitter starts the game with the Padres for a hit? It would be because you don't know why, because they're going against Paul Skeens. It wouldn't make any sense for them to do that. 100%. I want to know how many games it takes us to get a leadoff hitter on base.
I would have to look back and see.
Not even
10, left 10 runners on base. She went 3 for 12 with runners in scoring position yesterday.
The problem is not getting hits with runners in scoring position. The problem is getting runners in scoring position.
No, I understand. I'm just saying we haven't really paid much attention to that.
Do I have a need to?
Runners in scoring position bit, but 3 for 12 last night is a little alarming.
They got there 12 times, though. I mean, they had 12 at bats with runners in scoring position. Again, I think that's more important than anything else. You want to get that. I think that number is less alarming than like 1 for 2 with runners in scoring position. Even though you're hitting 500, only getting 2 at bats with runners in scoring position, I think is more alarming than getting 12 at bats with runners in scoring position.
2 for 11 on Saturday with runners in scoring position.
They're getting guys there, though. That's the main point. Eventually, those are going to get through. You want to consistently put those numbers together. Now, first batter of the game, Frank. The update is they're now 0 for 10 with 3 strikeouts. The first batter of the game for the Padres in their first 10 games has yet to reach base. Does that streak end tonight?
No,
I don't think so either. It'd be awesome. It would be sick, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Leading off an inning, the Padres have improved. They're now batting $195.
Yay.
Actually, no, they did not improve. It got worse.
Oh.
They were hitting 200 last night. Lead off the game. No hits, nobody on base. To lead off an inning, the Padres are hitting a 195 on the year with 19 strikeouts and 6 walks. Your leadoff hitters this year are now hitting a 122. That number was higher yesterday. And again, Fernando still has the best batting average to lead off as batting in the leadoff spot with a 143 average. Laureano is now 1 for 10. Same as Jake Cronenworth, also 1 for 10. Cronenworth walked twice. Laureano's yet to work a walk. It's early in the season. Leadoff numbers continue to be a problem for this team. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. When we come back, we're going to play the Midday Sports Standoff and take a deeper look into this Padres offense and what has been a massive change for their success. We'll explain more when we come back.
We are under 2 weeks left in the NHL season, and the best race in hockey is happening right now in the Atlantic Division. The Tampa Bay Lightning, Buffalo Sabres, and Montreal Canadiens are all within 2 points, and all three can still win the division. Sabres just dropped 8 goals on Tampa in their last meeting, and now they've got the easiest schedule remaining. And that's why I'm saying this. Buffalo is no longer a feel-good story. They are a legit threat in the East. Meanwhile, Tampa still has the experience, and Montreal is sitting right there waiting to shake everything up. This isn't just about making the playoffs anymore. It's about who gets the path. And right now, the Sabres might be holding all of the cards as we get ready for the final couple of weeks of the NHL season. All right, we're inside 2 weeks left of the NHL regular season, and things are getting real. Playoff spots are being clinched, divisions are tightening up, and we've got one of the best races in hockey happening right now in the Atlantic Division, Frank.
Yeah, absolutely. Playoff clinchers, as it sits right now, the Tampa Bay Lightning and Buffalo Sabres are officially in the playoffs. Buffalo breaking what was the longest active playoff drought in professional sports in the United States. To get that, the Minnesota Wild win pushes the Montreal Canadiens into the postseason. Now, we know a big chunk of the playoff field, we're just fighting for seeding, and this is where things get wild. Meanwhile, Carolina controls the Metropolitan Division. Colorado controls the Central. The real drama, though, as you mentioned, is in the Atlantic Division.
Yeah, it is the best race in hockey right now. Lightning, 102 points. Sabres, 100 points. And the Canadiens have 100 points themselves. And here's the kicker. All three still have a path to win the division. Massive game coming up. Lightning and Sabres final regular season meeting between the two. Last time, 8-7 winner for the Sabres. A game with 100-plus penalty minutes. I mean, this is playoff hockey before the playoffs. And if you look at the schedule breakdown for the final 3 teams in the Atlantic Division, Sabres have the easiest path. Canadiens are middle of the road. And the Lightning, who do have a lot of the experience, they have the toughest schedule remaining. And the big takeaway is Buffalo might have the cleanest runway to steal the division.
And because of all this fighting between the Lightning, Sabres, and Canadiens, we've missed on one big team out of this division. The 2-time reigning defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers are out of the playoffs after winning back-to-back Stanley Cups. The Florida Panthers are now not going to be defending their crown this year, going for that three-peat because of this insanity.
We've been talking about this the last couple of weeks, and the Sabres have played their way out of a feel-good story. They're now a massive problem to deal with in the Eastern Conference. They had already proven that they can outgun Tampa. They've got momentum, and the path is there. Meanwhile, Tampa has the experience. Montreal is the wild card in this situation, but if Buffalo wins the division, that changes the entire Eastern Conference bracket. Key matchups with playoff implications coming up this week and into the weekend. Possible first round, Lightning and Bruins, Sabres and Canadiens. Out west, the Avalanche still are the team to beat, and the Wild versus the Stars feels almost inevitable in the playoffs. And the bubble chaos, Detroit Red Wings are fading, Ottawa Senators are still alive, and the Columbus Blue Jackets are fighting. Every game right now is a playoff game.
Yeah, absolutely. And that the Metropolitan Division and the Eastern Conference wild card looking a lot sharper now, as we mentioned on the show today, Monday, as we record this. The Islanders fired their head coach, Patrick Waugh. So they're trying to shake themselves into a playoff position. So, I mean, as we look at this now, the Avalanche are elite. Hurricanes are consistent. The Sabres are a problem. The Lightning are still just as dangerous as they have been. And this bracket is going to come down to matchups, not just talent alone. You have to find the right teams at the right time if you want to make it through what is the craziest playoff of all 4 professional sports.
And here's also a big storyline that we haven't even talked about, the Pacific Division. I mean, the Pacific Division is crazy right now, and the Anaheim Ducks, who are running away with the division lead, have now squandered it with 3 losses in a row, and now they're tied with Edmonton at 87 points. Vegas is right there at third at 86 points, and the 2 wild card teams right now are the Utah Mammoth at 86 points and the Nashville Predators at 81. Kings are one spot out of a wild card spot out west as well, and they're tied with the Predators at 81 points. San Jose is 2 points off of Nashville in the Western Conference for the wild card. So there's a lot to play for. And you look at even like a team like the St. Louis Blues, they've won 2 in a row. They're 3 points behind the Nashville Predators for the final wild card spot. So still a lot to happen. And by the way, is it surprising to anybody the only teams out west in the Western Conference that have clinched a playoff spot are coming from the Central Division?
No.
Avalanche, Stars, and Wild have all clinched playoff spots, 110 points, 102 points, and 100 points. And then you look at the Pacific Division, 87, 87, 86.
It's been a bloodbath all year.
Utah with 86 points in the Central Divisions as well. So this is a very interesting race out west too. And you look at the playoff form, you look at the way that things were playing out. There's not a lot of games left for Edmonton, Anaheim, or Vegas. All 3 of those have a path to the championship of the Pacific Division, just as much as the Atlantic Division.
$12:41 on a Tuesday. They even talk about Michigan winning the national championship yesterday. They were able to knock off the UConn Huskies in the final national championship. I think I saw a thing. It was like the number 1 seed has won like every NCAA tournament for the last like 15 or 20 years, and UConn.
Oh, yes.
It's the number 1 seed
it's either
or UConn.
Yeah, it's either a number 1 seed or UConn, yes.
Has won it like the last 20-something years.
Mm-hmm.
Use that to fill out your bracket. That should be part of the conversation on when they do the eliminator on the first day of the tournament. Should be like number 1 seed or UConn has won the national championship in the last 20 years. Be like, looks like it's only going to be number 1 seeds and UConn.
It's amazing how UConn always seems to be there. No matter how good, how bad, how middle of the road that team seems to be, they always find themselves in the national championship.
Yeah, think about that shot that was made against Duke. I mean, what a master class on how to fumble a bag out of the Duke Blue Devils. Otherwise, that could have been them. Potentially the national championship.
And it looked like Michigan could have done it too, because they last minute, that wasn't 7-point lead isn't safe in the last minute. And they brought it back and they brought it to 4. And then after that, Michigan kind of stomped away with it. But that was right up until the final minute. You were thinking, oh boy, something could happen here.
You're starting to see and all the other thing too. It's like the SEC has completely lost control over college athletics because now they're not the only conference that pays money. And guess who has more money? Schools in the Big Ten, because they have better degrees and they have richer alumni. I mean, you look at the SEC aside from Vanderbilt, who, by the way, who's starting to get really good at sports?
Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt's getting great at football. They're getting better at football. They're getting better at basketball. They have a lot of alumni that have made a ton of money because they're smart. And their school is a great school. And they're putting that money towards sports. And so Vanderbilt is getting a lot better at a lot of sports. And the Big Ten schools all have Fortune 500 company CEOs and everything like that are alumni that are pumping a ton of money into the Big Ten. And so now the Big Ten has all the resources and the Big Ten is going to win all the championships. I heard Ben Higgins talk about that the other day with Indiana. It's like, yeah, I know, like we can, it seems like it's a good story that Indiana won the championship, but the reality is they paid for some of the best players in the country to play for their team. They spent a ton of money. They have older players. I mean, Michigan's starting 5 are all transfers that got a big check to go play at Michigan. What did Mark Ziegler say about, I think the money that is spent on Michigan's basketball team, San Diego State pays $9 million for their entire for every expense for basketball is $9 million. That's including salaries on stuff. Just Michigan's roster is more. It's $12 million. Is what I think Mark Ziegler reported before San Diego State played Michigan. These are the things that obviously need to change to make it a more competitive balanced league. But I will say this, as much as I think the new landscape of college athletics is stupid, I do think it's funny that the SEC, who used to be it means more and everything's great and we're so much better than everybody else, all of a sudden you can pay out in the open for players and now they can't win anymore. I do find that to be very funny.
Darn, man. That's
what happened, SEC? I thought it just meant more. I thought you guys were just bigger, better, faster, stronger, and just better at recruiting than everybody else. Oh, everybody can pay now. Oh, it's not fair anymore, is it? No, it's not fun anymore, is it?
No, not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. Zero fun, sir.
Oh, now you're thinking.
That entire conversation in Remember the Titans with Denzel Washington and Petey, the guy from Scrubs.
Yes.
That is the SEC in the Big Ten. It's 100% what that is. And nobody else is going to be able to compete at this point in time. But here's my takeaway on this. For everybody that's like, look how good we are. It's better and it sounds better when you just admit we just paid for it. I mean, what's the harm in doing that? Everybody always denies it, right, Frank? Everybody always denies it. Like Michigan fans are like, oh, we're just so much better and we're just smarter and we know we're just a better team. And I was like, why don't you just admit you just like outpaid everybody? Just say it. Like, what's the problem? Everybody knows what it is. You spent more money than everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. It's the is you though? Is you really though? Question.
Right. Are you that much better than everybody else, or did you just pay more money than everybody else? Like, to me, you can't be a Michigan fan and like bitch that the Dodgers pay for everybody and then say like, oh, we're just doing it better than everybody else. No, you're not. You spend a ton of money. You spend some of the most money in the country. Like, just embrace buying the team. We bought our championship. Just embrace it. I don't know what's against embracing it.
Nerdman 11 SEC fans would be very mad if they could read anything that was coming out about this.
Is that like the
yes, that's the King of the Hill meme.
King of the Hill meme? God, they'd be really upset if they knew how to read. You know what? They probably would. I know Braden Escondido knows how to read, and he's going to try to take me down in some trivia today. Let's get to the Midday Sports Standoff.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, he's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
All right, Frank. Got Braden Escondido ready to go. Brad, what's up, man?
Hey, boys. How we doing, man?
Good. We're doing good. All right. So today's question is going to be, if you were watching on YouTube, you just heard our NHL update. And during that NHL update, we had mentioned that the Buffalo Sabres just broke the longest active playoff drought of any team in the 4 major sports. Who are the 8 teams that have the longest active playoff drought in any of the 4 major sports? Brad, you are first.
I'm going to go. By the way, Luis Ariz hitting 295 higher.
We need him to be hitting 340.
Yeah. Okay. New York Jets.
That's got to be number 1.
The New York Jetropolitans have the longest active playoff drought at 15 years.
15 years. All right, so that was what was that? 20? Is that when Mark Sanchez was on the team?
Yes.
What year was that?
I believe that was 2009, 10.
15 years? I can't do math off the top of my head. Is that including 2026?
I
guess.
Sure. It's 15 years.
All right, so that was 2011. So the longest was 2011. What about the Angels?
Angels have the second longest at 11 years. Brad.
Okay. Let's go how Michael Jordan used to play, but the terrible owner of the Hornets.
Charlotte Hornets look like they're about to break a 9-year playoff drought this year.
What number are they on the list?
They are number 5 on the list.
Charlotte. Would you say 9?
Yes. And again, this is all sports.
The NFL's tough because there's so much parity. God, it's got to be a long time since the Rockies.
The Rockies are number 8 on this list at 7 years.
7.
Brad?
Ooh. Okay, let's go terrible teams again. I used to live in Sacramento. Let's go to Kings.
No, the Kings have made the playoffs recently, more recently than the last 7 years, Braden.
What about the Raiders? I feel like the Raiders have probably been a long time.
Nope, the Raiders have made it within the last 7 years. Brad?
Wow. Okay, let's go last. Lousy teams. People always finishing in the bottom. So this is playoff. Just being in the playoffs, right?
Yes, just being in the playoffs.
Just being in the playoffs. Let's go terrible teams. I was going to say Buccaneers, but that's not it. No, let's go baseball. Brewers just got in through. White Sox.
Really?
Not in the last 7 years.
Oh no, they were good. Remember they had the young guy.
Yeah.
They were 2020. They made the playoffs.
Braden, if you get this one wrong, I will give you sports leagues of the remaining teams.
Oh man. I want to say they were 2019. What about No, because they just broke their drought not too long ago, and I think it was less than 7 years was that team. I can't say that team. The Marlins were 2020. God dang it. What about? No, they've all made the play. It can't be baseball. I know it's not the Pirates, but I'm going to say the Pirates. It's not the Pirates. It is the Pirates. They just made it.
The Pirates are on a 10-year drought. So, Brad,
are they third or fourth in the
They
list?
are third on the list. You have 2 NHL, 1 NFL. Those are the 3 remaining. 2 NHL, 1 NFL.
Okay, then let's go. I hate to do this because my nephew's with it. How about the Red Wings?
The Detroit Red Wings are number 4 on the list. They are currently on a 9-year drought. Looking for 6 and 7 on the list. You're 1 NFL, 1 NHL.
So you said, what about the San Jose Sharks? Not the Sharks.
2 strikes each. Brad?
All right. Let's go. Remember Arthur Blank on the field, thinking he was going to win. I'm going to go Falcons.
Wow. The Falcons are on an 8-year drought. So congratulations, Brad. You have officially qualified. You've guaranteed yourself at least a tie. Braden?
They're in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Anaheim Ducks have been lousy. So the Ducks? There it is.
It is the Ducks. So again, Brad, but you're still qualified. Hang on the line because you are qualified. You guys did tie. So in that, you're a winner in this
Ducks
case.
on an 8-year drought or 7-year drought?
Ducks are on a 7-year drought. So
That's
the longest sports droughts in professional sports. The New York Jets at 15, the Angels at 11, Pirates at 10, Red Wings and Hornets at 9, Falcons at 8, and Ducks and Rockies at 7.
Wow.
Those
The
are your-
NHL ones were going to get me because I don't pay as close attention to the NHL. I'm just glad there wasn't a bunch of NBA teams on there. But at the same time, it's more than half the league makes the playoffs in the NBA now.
Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine there's not too many longest streaks. So
Jets are not going to break theirs. Angels not going to break theirs. Red Wings, they're not making it, right?
No, they are not.
They're not eliminated officially, but they're not looking like they're going to make it.
The Charlotte Hornets look like they're going to. They're in a playoff position, so they're
Ducks
going
need to win
break it.
tonight, big time.
Yeah,
they got the Preds tonight.
I believe
yes,
so.
They're hosting the Predators. If they beat the Predators tonight, that puts more pressure on Edmonton. I mean, the Ducks can go anywhere between winning the divisions and missing the playoffs entirely in these next couple of games.
Okay.
So, but I think the Ducks could be able to snap that as well. The NFL, you never know. I mean, the Jets are just bad, but like the Falcons could like turn things around. I don't see the Angels or Pirates doing it.
Jets have Geno Smith.
What does that mean? What year is it?
The Jets have Geno Smith.
That didn't help them before.
Fresh out of a stint in Vegas, he's ready to go. Great year in Vegas, by the way. Great year in Vegas for Geno Smith.
Do you watch football?
No.
No, that explains a lot. Geno Smith.
Care about the NFL.
What prevented him from doing that when he was in New York the first time?
The Jets are incompetent.
Do you know what his records were with the Jets?
Bad.
8-8, 3-10, and then didn't start in 2015. Went 1-0 as a starting quarterback in 2016. Went 0-1 in 2017.
Because bad.
The Jets. I like that one. Since Party Rock Anthem came out, have you made the playoffs? Everybody in the United States has made the playoffs except for
the New York Jets, baby.
And then they're the Jets. Final hour of the show coming up next.
Hey, it's been a
Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. He's Frank Marquez. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on Seneca's Urban Sports Station 97 through the Fan. Congratulations to Brad Escondido. Worked the tie yesterday, or in the last segment, worked the tie. He gets to qualify. He is qualified now for a chance to win a pair of tickets to My Chemical Romance at Petco Park on August 30th. Tickets at Ticketmaster.com. He's now 1 of 1. So as of right now, if the month ended today, which it does not, he could potentially win. I don't want to say he will win because I don't know what happens at that point if we stop doing show, whatever. So legalities to it. But he's 1 of 1. He's competing against himself right now. So we'll see if anybody else can qualify later in the week. Great trivia question by Frank today.
Thank you.
You know, you took a step back yesterday, but then 2 steps forward today. Longest active droughts, playoff droughts in the Big 4 sports in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody tweeted at us and asked about the Sabres, and that was the whole point of the
that was kind of the
deal.
lead into the question that the Sabres just broke.
He must have. They could have missed that part.
They could have, yes.
So, Seneca Sports fan said, "What about Buffalo Sabres' 14-year playoff drought?" They clinched yesterday.
Yes, they did.
So, with them clinching yesterday, it snaps the streak, which leads to what is now the streak. What is the longest streak of playoff droughts? So, the answers were the Rockies are at 8. Right, in 8th.
It's 7 years.
With 7 years. The Ducks, Anaheim Ducks, 7 years. They're trying to snap that in these last 2 weeks. They got the Predators tonight. It's a very important game for the Anaheim Ducks. Falcons, 8. They haven't made the playoffs since 2018. Charlotte, 9. Have they clinched that yet? For this year?
No,
they got a pretty good
not.
chance, though, right?
Yeah, they should, but they have not clinched it yet.
2 weeks left of the NBA and NHL seasons. We're getting down to the wire here. Charlotte's in a pretty good spot, though. What about if they clinch the play-in tournament? Does that count as making the playoffs?
I don't know.
Or do you have to win that? I don't know. Where's our NBA experts on this?
I'll leave that up to the official playoff scouter people.
Because as of right now, the 10 teams in the Eastern Conference are set because Milwaukee's been eliminated. So, like, the 76ers, Hornets, Magic, and Heat are all guaranteed to be in some type of postseason. I don't know. Does that count if you don't win the play-in tournament? Is the play-in tournament part of the playoffs, or is it not the playoffs because it's the play-in tournament? Can you call Adam Silver and ask him?
Yeah, I'll get right on that.
All right, cool.
Yes.
Shoot him a text real quick. See what he says. We'll report back to you.
Yep, we'll do.
According to the Western Conference standings on here, they have the clinched play-in berth.
Who has a drought longer than the Jets? Nobody.
What
was the thing you mentioned before we went to break? Before.
And then
about the Jets losing streak.
What do you mean about the meme?
Yeah.
Oh, there's the meme where it's like a Jay Cuda graphic. I don't even know if it's actually Jay Cuda. It could be somebody else, but it said, "Have you made the playoffs since the Party Rock anthem came out?" And it's every single logo from every single team in the NFL, the NBA, MLB, and the NHL in the yes. And then there's one logo in the no, and it's the New York Jets. Maybe this is the curse of the Jets. Maybe this is the song that cursed the Jets. Party Rockers in the house tonight. I was like, I'm pretty sure that song came out when I was in high school, but that makes sense because the Jets have made the playoffs since I was in high school. It's been so long. The last time the Jets were in the playoffs, the San Diego Chargers existed.
The last time I remember,
did they beat the Chargers that year? Didn't they beat the Chargers in the playoffs?
I think they beat them one of the years.
They made it to like
AFC
the AFC Championship game that year.
Back-to-back years. That was the last time I remember them being in the playoffs. Was for that was that time when they went. It was right after Rex Ryan came in. It was right at the time where Mark Sanchez came in. You just gotten LaDainian Tomlinson. They went to the AFC Championship game in back-to-back years. Santonio Holmes was on the team. I mean, they were, this is, I believe, a little bit before Darrelle Revis even. That was the last time I remember the Jets making the postseason.
That was the game Antonio Cromartie refused to make a tackle.
And then became a Jet.
Yeah, and then ended up becoming a Jet. That was like the worst display of football I've ever seen in that game. With like the way that it was so bad. He ran away from, who was that? Sean Green? Who's the running back? Sean something. Forget the running back of that team. That was who was getting the majority of the workload at Qualcomm Stadium. That was the game the Chargers should have easily won, and they got bullied from the get-go for no reason.
Nate Taylor, and then the butt fumble happened.
Yeah, and that kind of spiraled his career out of control.
The Jets had fought for years to get that Thanksgiving spot, and they did that.
Highly rememberable, though. I don't remember any of the things.
Oh, my
You know what? I don't remember any Thanksgiving games. I remember that one. I remember that specific play.
That was...
I didn't get to see that live because I don't know what I was doing. I was showing up late or whatever it was. And we were at my grandmother's house and she didn't have like DVR, but they kept showing the replay like thousands of times. And my dad's like, hold on, you got to watch this. You got to see what happened. And I'm like, what? Like, this is crazy.
If I remember correctly, they had just thrown a pick. Then it was the butt fumble, a pick six. Then it was the butt fumble. And then I think it was a punt return for a touchdown right after that. The 3 times New England had touched the ball was a pick six, the butt fumble, and then a punt return. That was the Jets on that Thanksgiving day. It was not a good day.
When was the last time the New York Giants made the playoffs?
21.
Was it 21?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was 21. 20 or 21.
The NFL, you just reload all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I did not feel that earthquake yesterday.
No, I did not fall down yesterday, so no, there was no earthquake.
That's a foul on you giving yourself a fat joke.
He draws the foul.
It's rude.
As a recovering fat guy, I can make those jokes.
I think it's rude to yourself.
You can't. You're thin.
I wouldn't necessarily describe my physique as thin.
Thinner than me.
Okay. I'm not going to argue that. But I would not consider what I am thin. Speaking of, got to get back on track with eating better food than the trip to Boston and eating thousands of calories of pasta, which was amazing. All right, let's just kind of get back on track here. We're going to have AJ Cassavell join us the next couple of minutes or so. And there's a couple of things I definitely do want to ask him about this Padres team. And a lot of it has to do with the pitching staff that we talked about at the beginning part of the show. We talked about the offensive philosophy in the last hour or so. But the offensive identity right now is relentless at bats. Now, as much as people have been criticizing this offense, I think you have to give them an opportunity to start to settle in. And since then, the Padres are top 10 in contact rate in the zone, top 5 in chase rate, showing their discipline, and low strikeout team despite facing a lot of elite arms, which I think is very notable to a team that we have seen strike out a ton. They've extended at bats with this approach. They have fouled off pitches with this approach. They've forced starters out early in games with this approach, and they've attacked bullpens with this approach. And for example, they knocked out yesterday 100-mile-an-hour throwing Bubba Chandler by the 5th inning. He had 83 pitches. So they might not be an overpowering offense, but they're outlasting pitchers, and that's a sign of a really good offense and a sign for potential of what this team could accomplish this season if they stick to their process. Frank, you look at some of those metrics. Those are all metrics you want to be high in to show that you're a disciplined and, most notably, an annoying offense to deal with if you're a pitcher.
And that's one of the best things you can be, is an annoying offense, because with that annoying offense comes quality. I mean, you're going to see the quality of this team and the quality of the offense go up the more and more annoying this team becomes on offense. So I love seeing that. I'd love to see them take even more pitches to be able to move the line along going through.
Lineup depth is starting to show up too, not just the stars. You're starting to see guys like Nick Castellanos coming off the bench and spot starting a lot is great. double RBI yesterday. Freddie Fermin got 2 more hits. Now it's good to see him getting back to contributing because he's been tough to watch at the plate the last, the beginning part of the season. Jake Cronenworth had a hit in an RBI double. So 1 through 9 scoring, not just individuals. That came from Craig Stammen last night, and you really got to see that display. And hopefully some of those guys at the bottom of the order continue to do that. When we come back, we're going to get a preview of the game tonight against Paul Skeens, Padres and Pirates. As AJ Cassavell, who writes for MLB.com, will join us in the next segment. We'll get his thoughts on a lot of the trending stories in for the San Diego Padres. And when we return on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number 1 sports station, 97 to the Fan.
San Diego State Baseball just made a statement, and they're officially in first place in the Mountain West Conference. They didn't just win the series. They swept Air Force, and they did it in every possible way. Game 1, dominant pitching. 14 strikeouts for the pitching staff of the Aztecs on Friday night. Game 2, 15 hits and a total offensive control. And Game 3, they were down 7-2, and they came back with 8 runs to win the contest. Not luck. That's a team figuring itself out, because a week ago, this team looked inconsistent. And right now, they're showing that they can win with power. They're showing that they can win with pitching. And they're showing that they can win situational baseball. So the question is this real? Because if this is the version of San Diego State baseball, and if this version of San Diego State baseball sticks, they're not just competing in the Mountain West. They might be the team to beat in the Mountain West, and maybe a team that gets their name called on Selection Monday. This was a statement week for San Diego State baseball. Well, softball continues to trend as one of the more frustrating but dangerous teams, and lacrosse ran into a very tough matchup. But the headline this week for Aztec Sports, baseball is now in first place in the Mountain West.
Yeah, San Diego State just swept their series against the Air Force Falcons. As it sits, they're right now 18-15, 7-2 in the conference, which puts them in first place. And they did it in 3 very different ways. They had a 9-2 win in Game 1 with back-to-back bombs from Tice Peterson and Jake Jackson, 14 strikeouts from the pitching staff in total, a very dominant, very complete performance. Game 2, they had an 11-2 win where they bombarded Air Force with 15 hits and a balanced offense, power and small ball working together, their most complete offensive showing of the season. And then in Game 3 on Sunday, a 12-9 win. They had trailed at one point by 7-2, as you had mentioned, scored 8 runs over 2 innings, and showed a lot of resilience and firepower. So 3 games, 3 very different ways to win, but at the end of the day, they were all wins.
And here's the difference now. Last week, they were, surviving chaos.
Mm-hmm.
This week, they're starting to control game. Pitching has stabilized. Offense is deep 1 through 9, and they can win with power or situational hitting. This looks like a legit conference contender now. And if they're able to win the conference, they're able to hear their name announced on Selection Monday and potentially have, there's a good chance that San Diego, the city of San Diego, could potentially have multiple teams in the NCAA tournament, because as we get to the USD update, they had a really good bounce back weekend, as well as UCSD continues to do damage also in the Big West. So baseball, big step for the Aztecs, now in first place in the Mountain West Conference. Now on to softball. Same story, different week. Another roller coaster for San Diego State softball versus Utah State. They lost game 1, 4-3. Late lead blown in the final frames. They won 9-1 in their second game with a run rule domination, and in game 3 they lost 5-4. Late comeback falls short. They're now 20-17 on the season, 5-7 in the Mountain West. Very tough to see for Aztec softball, who is projected to have such a great year this year.
Yeah, and it really is unfortunate, especially when you count that you could have had a sweep in this series, blowing that lead late in the first game of the series, not great, and then fighting back on the in the series finale, coming up a little bit short. You still have an over 500 record, but right now you're 2 games under in the conference, not going to help you out all that much.
We usually just focus on baseball and softball, but lacrosse was in the news this week. They unfortunately had a tough loss as San Diego State lacrosse falls 18-8 to UC Davis in the Aggies women's lacrosse program. Tatum Neach had 4 goals. Lila Turley had 3. They're now 2-10 and 0-2 in the Big 12 with a huge test coming. They got the number 7th ranked Florida Gators women's lacrosse team. It's always fun talking about like some of the niche sports and the conferences they're in. San Diego State is in the same conference as Florida, and they're in the Big 12 in women's lacrosse. Isn't that fun? I mean,
it's fantastic.
You know what? I've been an advocate for the Aztecs joining the Big 12. The fact is they're in the Big 12. I don't know why I'm complaining. They're in the Big 12. They just don't have any other Big 12 schools in the Big 12, and you got schools like Florida and the SEC in that same conference. So tough loss for the women's lacrosse team. That's a D1 sport over at San Diego State. But that's what's fun about some of the niche sports, Frank. You get to see them participate in a lot of different conferences.
Yeah, absolutely. And you had a San Diego State alum win the PGA tournament this week.
That's
so
right.
Add
that. JJ Spawn.
Yes.
Add that to the Aztec update. Another You know what? We don't talk about golf a lot on this show when it comes to the, especially the college level. San Diego State's got some pretty good pro golfers right now on the PGA Tour. So congratulations to JJ Spawn. But a big weekend for baseball, softball still.
We're giving you and a guest a chance to go away with Weezer on their Weezer The Gathering tour. Get hooked up with flights, a 2-night hotel stay, a pair of tickets to see Weezer, plus a meet and greet with the band, and a signed set list. Thanks to Live Nation and Crush Music. And all you have to do is enter to listen to us on the Odyssey app. Download the free app, create your account, favorite our station, and listen for an hour to get your daily entry and come back each day for another chance to win. This is a national contest. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. And joining us now, taking a little bit of time before the Padres get ready to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates out at PNC Park, is the beat writer for the San Diego Padres for MLB.com. His name is AJ Cassavell. He's been covering the Padres for a very long time. I've lost track at how many wiffle ball championships he has also won. I think it's at 10. It might be more now, but AJ
13.
Cassavell joins us on the Braden Surprenant show. AJ says it's 13, 13-time wiffle ball champion. Good to have you, AJ.
Good to be on, Braden. How are you?
I'm doing well. I ran into some people at, I don't know, you weren't able to do this, obviously, because you were hard at work at Petco Park, but that first Saturday of opening weekend, they actually had a wiffle ball league posted out there at on J Street. So, if you really want to start taking over the world in wiffle ball, AJ, there's a local league here in town I guess you could go out there and make a celebrity appearance for.
Sounds like they might make me feel a little old. I've been struggling the last couple of years, and I'm like 3 or 4 years removed from my last title. But you know what? Whatever it takes.
You know what?
It'll get me in the right frame of mind for my August tournament with the family.
Speaking of right frame of mind, let's talk about Germán Márquez last night. I mean, Germán Márquez was good. He wasn't dominant, but he was able to go 5 innings, scoreless ball, really improved his stuff from his first outing against the Giants into this outing against the Pirates. Used the knuckle curve a lot more. There was rumors about him tipping pitches potentially. What was the report from the Padres on how they liked Germán Márquez? What did you see out of Germán Márquez in his second outing compared to his first?
Yeah, just looked like a guy who could be the number 4 or 5 starter in your rotation. Like he pitched 5 scoreless innings. I'm not sure like his quality of pitching merited a 0.00. Like the Pirates ran into a couple dumb outs on the bases, and he wasn't dominant, but he was good enough to escape some jams when he needed to. He had that curveball going. He's a veteran guy who knows how to pitch and get big outs when he needs them. And the fastball velocity was up like just a tick, and like that played well with that curveball, which I think he threw at a significantly higher clip. I know it was 45% last night. Like that's what the Padres want from Germán Márquez. And if he pitches like that on other nights against maybe a better offense and a team that doesn't make the mistakes the Pirates make, maybe it's 5 innings, 2 runs. But that's totally fine if you're getting that from the back of your rotation, if you're getting that for a guy you signed in spring training for really a pretty low risk contract. And it leads me to believe that like if they're getting that from him, I think their bullpen's unbelievable, obviously, and their offense is started to really show signs of life. Like the biggest question for me, even when the offense was struggling in the first week, was still about the back end of the starting rotation, and more outings like that will go a long way to kind of assuage those question marks. That was a a encouraging outing from Germán Márquez.
I agree with you. I think it was very encouraging, but also, I mean, that adds a wrinkle to this conversation about the back end of the starting rotation with potential players coming back. I mean, Matt Waldron is a guy that is expected to come back relatively soon from his rehab assignment down in AAA. They have to make a decision on him with Walker Buehler and Germán Márquez. Griffin Canning is on the horizon as well. And I'm sure later down in the road, when they get to the Joe Musgrove conversation, another difficult decision that needs to be made. But Germán Márquez made that decision a more, difficult, but also on a positive light for this rotation if he can continue to pitch like that. Where do you think the pressure is on for some of these arms that are now competing in season for roster spots when it comes to Walker Buehler and Germán Márquez and Matt Waldron? How do you think the Padres are going to go about this particular decision that might be looming soon?
Yeah, if the decisions are difficult, I'll put it this way. If the decisions are difficult for the Padres, that's a good thing, because there's also another world in which those guys struggle and the decision's easy and you kind of part ways because they were low risk contracts anyway. But I think what we saw from Marquez last night leads you to believe that there's something in there. And I think what we've seen a little bit in stretches from Buehler, like it could be in there. And so if the decisions are tough, the Padres will absolutely take that, be happy to make them, because it means that the rest of the rotation's healthy too, which is not something that usually happens. Usually there's something that crops up and these guys, the answer sorts itself out. The Padres obviously like 1, 2, 3 in their rotation. They are eagerly awaiting Griffin Canning, Matt Waldron, maybe a little further down the road, Joe Musgrove. But the way pitching works is just there are spots that become open in the rotation almost out of nowhere. We saw it last year with, I think there were questions about how they could fit guys in the rotation in spring training, and then Yu Darvish got hurt. And then there were questions about when Yu Darvish came back and then Michael King got hurt. And that's just the way it goes with pitching. And I don't want to, that's obviously not something you hope for, but it's something that if you have guys that are throwing like Marquez and throwing like Matt Waldron is at AAA currently on his rehab assignment, that's what you want those decisions to be. You don't want the decisions to be this guy's struggling and we don't really have any options at AAA. So I suspect it'll sort itself out. That's usually how this goes. But if the Padres have to sit down and make a hard decision, I know they won't be upset about it because it'll mean that those guys are pitching well.
We're talking with AJ Cassavell, who covers the San Diego Padres for MLB.com. Get ready for Padres and Pirates later on this afternoon out here on the West Coast. Quinn and Chris will have another shortened show today, and then Sam Levitt will be on with the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. And speaking of the rotation, I was out there in Boston, got to see a lot of Padres fans on Saturday. And the Padres put on a little bit of a show. It was a fun game on Saturday at Fenway Park. But I thought the main story was Randy Vasquez and just how good he has been in his first 2 outings. Has he been dominant? Not necessarily, but he's definitely improved on a lot of the different areas that he needed to improve on in his 3rd year now with the Padres as a starting pitcher. He's been really good. What has been the biggest difference, and how much of an influence has Yu Darvish been to the success of this year's version of Randy Vasquez?
Yeah, that's definitely been part of it. Braden, I think Randy Vasquez might be my favorite Padre at this point because it can be humbling. I don't know. We can be cynical, and everyone knows that the baseball writers can be cynical. And I don't think I was being cynical last year when I looked at Randy Vasquez and I looked at his underlying numbers and thought, there's no way he's going to sustain this. He just can't. He's walking too many guys. He's not missing enough bats. And I was just so wrong in the most fun way because Randy Vasquez made those fixes, made those changes. He upped his fastball velocity. He stopped nibbling. He started throwing more strikes. He made all the changes he needed to make to turn into the pitcher that he became. And he did so by putting in the work on the field and putting in the work off the field and getting his body in the shape where his fastball velocity ticks up a couple miles an hour and picking the brain of Yu Darvish and actively seeking out that relationship. I did not think this was sustainable at all. If you had told me a year ago after Randy Vasquez was off to a decent start, I would have said there is no chance he's going to get hit hard. And honestly, if he had kept going about it the way he was at the time, I think that would have happened. But I was wrong about Randy Vasquez in kind of the coolest way because he went out and proved it. He went out and became a really fun pitcher to watch. I mean, he can spin it. He can throw the changeup. The fastball is now a legitimate weapon. So just in terms of aesthetically, he's a really fun guy to watch, and that tracks when you talk about Yu Darvish being part of it. I don't know that there's a single pitcher who, when he's on his game, is more fun to watch than Yu Darvish. And then just the fact that, like, he proved us all wrong. Like, he proved at least me wrong, and I've kind of loved watching that play out, even if it means that my opinion on him a year ago was dead wrong. And I don't know if he's going to keep this up, this level of ace dominance. Like, to me, he's a number 3. But if that's what you're getting from Randy Vasquez, the Padres are very happy to take that. He's been a really fun story, a guy who worked really hard to get where he is, and that entails in the weight room, that entails in his bullpens, and that entails just learning and picking guys' brains like Yu Darvish. So he's one of my favorite Padres to watch all of a sudden, and looking forward to his next start.
Looking forward to it too. It's been fun to watch him, improve over the last couple of years. Let's talk about the bullpen real quick. I think a lot of fans are, they might give Wandy Peralta a little bit more, comments, if you will. I'll say that in a nice way about the way that he pitches. I think he's probably better than what a lot of the situations pertain to, but he's been used a lot so far this year, especially in high leverage. Yeah. I think some of that had to be with the fact that, you can't have Morejon pitch every day, and Jason Adams not healthy on the team yet, and he might be coming back soon. So you have limited lefties in that bullpen. Kyle Hart, I guess you could throw back there, but considering the circumstances, it's been kind of tough for Wandy Peralta. What has been the message from the Padres in terms of why they've used him in certain situations and near the back end of the bullpen? And, what's your kind of thoughts on the Wandy Peralta experience having to go in high leverage situations?
I think they would prefer to avoid using Wandy Peralta in high leverage situations. And I think, at this time at least, what we've seen from Wandy Peralta over his tenure with the Padres is that there are times where you're fine using him in those spots. When he gets on a roll, he's just like a ground ball guy, a weak contact guy, and you bring him in against lefties and righties, and he's solid. This is not one of those times right now. He's had a relatively up and down. Like, when he goes through a rut, it can seem pronounced, and that's what we're seeing right now. So I think if the Padres had it their way, they would avoid using him in high leverage until he can kind of reestablish himself as that number 2 lefty. But here's the thing, Kyle Hart has a pretty specific role as that long guy, and I think he fills it really well because he's a left-handed option, and you assume that he's going to be coming in off the back of either Buehler or Marquez at the back of the rotation, maybe eating up a couple innings, and he's different. He changes the lineup. He changes what the other team has to do because he's a lefty. They've probably stacked their lineup with lefties. But Kyle Hart has his spot. So maybe Kyle Hart should get some of Wandy Peralta's leverage. I just think he's pretty good in the role that he's in. And then Morejon you don't want him pitching every day. He's a very durable, very reliable guy right now. You don't want to push that in April. And so I think it was Saturday, or maybe it was Sunday. Yeah, it was Sunday when Peralta gave up the 2 hits to those 2 left-handers that he faced, and the Red Sox came back to tie the game against him. I think if the Padres, if you ask them off the record, they would say they didn't want Wandy Peralta in that spot, but kind of who else did they have? They didn't have many other options at that time, and those guys got those hits. So I think there's a place for Wandy Peralta to re-earn that leverage left-handed role, but I just think that when Jason Adam comes back and when you start using Morejon with a little more regularity, and maybe Kyle Hart's a little more available because some of these starters go a little deeper into games, I would expect that we wouldn't see him in as many high leverage spots, but he has a track record of it, and maybe he turns it around relatively quickly.
Do we have an update on Jason Adam?
Not as of now. I would expect we'll see him this weekend, would be my guess. I think if the Padres want to give him another outing or 2 just to kind of really get a full spring training. He hardly had any spring training. So if you're kind of doing the math on how long it would take for him to get that full spring training's worth of work, it would still maybe be another week or so. But then again, he looks ready. You look at what he's doing in the Cactus League and in AAA, and the numbers tell you he's pretty good right now. So he's eligible to come back on Wednesday. I think that might be a little too soon. Maybe he gets one more rehab outing. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's back. Maybe he's in Pittsburgh tomorrow for the afternoon day game. He's that close where I think it's coming sometime soon. And think this is already a really good bullpen. It's about to get even better.
We're talking with AJ Cassavell, who writes for MLB.com. It covers the San Diego Padres, joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. Offensively, this is an offense that is now being run by Steven Souza Jr., obviously, with his now kind of philosophy. I'm sure it's a team philosophy as well. Padres are top 10 in contact rate, top 5 in chase rate, and showing their discipline. Low strikeout team despite facing elite arms. They got off to a slow start to the year. Obviously, they had to go against some really good left-handers in the Tigers series, but they have stuck with their process. And Manny Machado said that yesterday, emphasizing quality at bats over results. You're starting to see a little bit of that, and see some of the fruits of their labor. But what's the philosophy-driven offense been like for this Padres team? What have you noticed out of this team in terms of the way they put at-bats together, and how hands-on has Steven Souza Jr. been, at least in what you have seen, from a hitting coach perspective?
Yeah, the players really like him. Obviously, we're not in the cages. We don't kind of get to see exactly how he goes about it. I think there's some more emphasis on some of the biomechanics of it all, and tapping into a little bit more swing speed. And he comes from, obviously, a couple organizations that are pretty forward thinking on hitting when he spent time with the Dodgers and the Rays. I really think I think generally speaking, when you hear hitters kind of talk about bad luck and facing tough arms, I think it's generally kind of fair to roll your eyes a little bit. But I really kind of believe this group, they weren't making excuses. They were just kind of telling the truth the way it was. Their contact said that they should have been performing better than they were, and the quality of their arms that they had faced were basically as good as any team in the league. And the sample was really small. The first 7 or 8 games of the season, the offense really struggled. Now, if this is the thing, if they're still saying the same thing and the offense is still as bad as it was for those first few games in June or July, that's a problem. But I think what we've seen the last few days is probably more like what this group can be. A pretty tough lineup 1 through 9. They still play their home games in Petco Park. I wouldn't expect it to be statistically just the raw numbers a top 10 offense, but I think it's a top 10 offense if you adjust for the ballpark and you adjust for the league and who they're facing. And I think that if Steven Souza Jr. gets the most out of this group, that will bear out over the course of the season.
Did you get anything out of the players about facing Paul Skeens today, since all of them are doing it for the first time, with the exception of a couple of Padres that have seen him on other teams, and of course Manny and Fernando facing with the Dominican Republic? I mean, this is a pretty big matchup today for the Padres facing Skeens for the first time, albeit I am going to miss the bit of the Padres always missing him. That seemed kind of funny, but we finally get some of the matchups that we've been looking for.
Yeah, I talked to Jackson Merrill about it yesterday, and obviously he was that 2024 Rookie of the Year race is one of the best in recent memory. He was like, yeah, I didn't mind that we didn't face him in 2024. We were trying to make the playoffs. We were trying to win the division, and probably helps a little bit if you're not facing Paul Skeens. Then again, you go back and look at the way Jackson Merrill was swinging it when the Padres played those 2 series against the Pirates that summer, and that was when he was just on an absolute tear. So I think I would have taken Merrill in at least 1 or 2 of those at-bats. But I don't know. He aside from kind of rehashing that Rookie of the Year race, he just loved it. He thought Paul Skeens was awesome and deserving. And he also said that in any other year, I probably would have won. And I don't disagree with him there. You look at some of the other Rookie of the Year seasons, and Merrill probably deserves one based on the numbers that he had. Aside from that, they're just treating it as a really good arm that they have to beat, that they have to attack, that they have to figure out. And they aren't looking at it as though it's some insurmountable challenge because, they've faced Tarik Skubal already. They faced a lot of these guys. They got to figure out a way to beat them. If they want to win in October, they got to figure out a way to beat these kind of guys. So, just another test.
AJ, appreciate the time. I know you got to run. Thanks again for joining us. Look forward to talking to you again, and enjoy the fun game tonight. Paul Skeens should be a fun treat to watch.
Yeah, it should. Thanks for having me, Braden.
AJ Cassavell writes for MLB.com. Has been covering the Padres for so many years now, joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. Frank Marquez, I'm Braden Surprenant. We're broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. When we come back, we'll preview the game before the Padres and the Pirates, who are led by Paul Skeens. Done it for the first time. A lot of these guys face Paul Skeens in a Major League Baseball game. We'll tell you what the edge is when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
The NBA playoffs are 2 weeks away, and this might be the most wide-open postseason we have seen in years. You've got the Oklahoma City Thunder trying to go back-to-back behind SGA, but here come the San Antonio Spurs, 27-3 since February, led by Victor Wembanyama. That's a collision course in the West. Meanwhile, in the East, the Detroit Pistons are the number 1 seed. Yeah, the Pistons, and they're doing it even without Cade Cunningham right now. But don't get comfortable, because teams like the Charlotte Hornets could come out of the play-in and wreck everything. And, oh, yeah, Steph Curry's back. So that 10-seed Golden State Warriors team, that's not a normal 10-seed, and that's a problem for a lot of teams in the NBA. This year, it's not about who's the best team. It's about matchups. It's about health, and it's about who gets hot at the right time. The NBA playoffs aren't just coming. They're about to be chaos. Let's take a look at our weekly update on the NBA. The big picture is the playoffs are here. We are 2 weeks away from the postseason. The NBA regular season is wrapping up. Seeding races are still very alive in both conferences. And this isn't just about who's in, it's about who's going to be dangerous.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the Eastern Conference. The Detroit Pistons are locked in as the number 1 seed, doing it even without Cade Cunningham, who's on the injured list with a collapsed lung. Don't think you can play through that one. That's not load management. Boston Celtics.
You can if you're tough. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Just rub some dirt in it. Boston Celtics are likely the number 2.
Just fill it up with air. What's so hard about that?
God.
We're kidding.
What an image. Celtics are likely the number 2 seed. The New York Knicks are taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers for the 3rd spot. The Atlanta Hawks quietly surging. They've won 18 of their last 20. Teams in the mix right now, the Charlotte Hornets are sneaky dangerous. LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller are healthy, playing confident. Chaotic offense could absolutely ruin someone's season if given the chance to. It's not a top-heavy league anymore, a top-heavy conference anymore. It's very volatile from top to bottom now.
Let's go to the Big Bag Western Conference. It's a battle of heavyweights out there on the western side of the United States. Oklahoma City chasing back-to-back titles, led by MVP favorite in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. San Antonio Spurs right behind the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're powered by Victor Wembanyama. Spurs are 27-3 since February. I mean, they have been on an absolute tear. But the real story is the Denver Nuggets, the Los Angeles Lakers, Houston Rockets are all fighting for seeding. Injuries are looming. Luka Doncic has been out. He's going to be out. Austin Reeves is out, going to be out during this stretch. The West is less about matchups and more about who survives physically. And that's before we get to the play-in drama. Golden State Warriors sitting at number 10 in the standings, but Steph Curry is back, and that changes everything. If Curry is healthy, Warriors become very scary to deal with in the playoffs. But if not, it could be a quick exit for the Golden State Warriors in this year's postseason.
Yeah, and that's one thing that you look at when it comes to, you pretty much know what teams are going to be in the playoffs at this point. Between 10 and 11, there's a very wide gap in both the East and West Conference. So you know who's in it. You're just fighting for seeding right now. And that's what makes Golden State so darn dangerous, is that they are that 10 seed and they just got their megastar back. So they're going to be going against the toughest opponents they could possibly go up against, but they are going to have their superstar. It's not just an one and done. They're not there because of the way they played with Steph Curry. They're there because of the way they played without it.
When you look at some of the awards and the storylines, I mean, a lot of these are almost wrapped up. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander might be the MVP already as a lock. Defensive Player of the Year, Victor Wembanyama, Rookie of the Year. Con Nepal is leading the way as a Rookie of the Year candidate. 65-game rule impacting a lot of stars like Nikola Jokic and Kawhi Leonard. But when you look at the top 2 teams in the Western Conference, they got the top 2 players in the National Basketball Association. So no surprise that SGA leading the MVP field and Victor Wembanyama leading the Defensive Player of the Year award.
Yeah, and SGA, with what he's done, it's been very, very quiet, because while guys like LeBron and Steph Curry are still garnering the face of the sport, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has put together a couple of very, very good seasons, a couple of back-to-back NBA MVP seasons with an NBA Finals win on there. and he's not getting a lot of love as a future face of this sport. So he's flying very much under the radar doing all of this in Oklahoma City, and it's great for him, great to see him getting these awards.
And I think this is the most wide open NBA playoff field we've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, for the last handful of years, it's been like, okay, it's going to be the Warriors and Cavs, or hey, it's wherever LeBron's at, or hey, this team is just definitely more dominant, Boston Celtics or whatever. You want to go down the list of some dominant teams that have dominated the NBA. This year, there's no true dominant super team. I mean, injuries are everywhere. Young teams are rising in OKC and San Antonio. Play-in teams actually have a legitimate chance to win early series based on some of the injuries coming back, if you will. So this might be the first postseason in years where matchups matter a lot more than talent. I mean, the wrong matchup and you're out, the right matchup and you could be making the finals in the NBA. Should be an exciting time to watch the NBA playoffs. That's getting closer and closer as we finish up the NBA season. No show tomorrow because we have Padres baseball at 9:35 in the morning. Padres and pancakes again for Sam Levitt. Is he going to actually bring pancakes one of these times?
He never does.
He should.
He always says
you know
it.
what?
He never does.
Too bad we're not going to be here tomorrow because he owes us pancakes for disrupting our recording yesterday because he was too incompetent to figure out how to use one of the production rooms.
He wasn't incompetent. He said,
well, that's what he said.
He said it wouldn't record into wide orbit.
And then he didn't want to listen to you.
Yeah, no, he put
on how to update it himself where he didn't have to worry about recording it into wide orbit. Based on how he was so reluctant to learn how to upload something to wide orbit, which we both know how to do, makes me feel like it was more user error out of Sam. I also think he was bored and wanted to talk to us. But you know what? I digress on the matter. He owes us pancakes or something.
That's fair. I'll take that.
You know what? We're going to take him to Craft Taco, but he's paying for it.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think he agrees too. Let's just get okay. That sounds like he. I think he nodded his head. Somewhere.
Yeah, he's nodding his head.
Yeah, we're
out
good.
Out there being somewhere we can't see.
Somewhere we can't see. He'll be on with the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show at 3:40. Nick Pivetta, Paul Skeens tonight is going to be a good one. Paul Skeens 1-1 in the 9.53 ERA. Most of that's coming from the first game where he did not. And it's a little skewed too because it's not like he didn't get a lot of help in that game against the Mets. O'Neal Cruz didn't help him out
from the
enough.
Defense, right?
He didn't get a lot of help. I mean,
he spotted 2 runs. What do you mean?
No, he didn't get any help in that game
defense,
because the defense did not help him out, and it was to a point where the defense was not going to. They didn't get charged with errors for the Sun ball, right? I mean, I know the Sun was tough for O'Neal Cruz, but at the same time, I think if anybody else is playing center field, Paul Skeens' ERA is probably way lower than what it currently is. This season, Paul Skeens is a negative 0.3 B WAR. That's why, like the WAR stuff is always interesting. Like him and Walker Buehler have the exact same B WAR. Him and Walker Buehler have relative the same ERA. I don't think we think they're the same pitcher. They're 2 games.
Why would Pittsburgh do that?
Do what?
I just saw. I'm looking at the Pirates Twitter, their lineup sheet that they put out. It's a picture of Paul Skeens from opening day. Why would you? Why is that a memory you would bring up?
You couldn't get a picture of him at Cincinnati when the Pirates beat the Reds 8-3.
It's from opening day.
Really?
Yes.
Why would you do that, Pittsburgh? I would delete every photo from that game.
Yeah,
it never happened.
Opening day never happened.
It's so weird. We never played that game. It must have got rained out or something.
Pirates are going to throw out O'Neal Cruz, Brandon Lau, Brian Reynolds, Ryan O'Hearn, Nick York, Nick Gonzalez, Spencer Horowitz, Connor Griffin, and Henry Davis. That'll be the starting 9 for Pittsburgh.
That lineup doesn't scare me.
No.
Skeens in his second.
Wait.
What?
Osuna's not playing.
Osuna from the Bucks?
Osuna for the Bucks is not playing.
Wow. Isn't he the guy that owns Pivetta?
Yeah, Osuna for the Bucks has 6 home runs against Nick Pivetta.
Who cares about matchups?
Bruh.
Yeah,
You look at the matchups for the thing.
Me too.
Osuna from the Bucks has faced Pivetta 33 times.
There's 6 homers.
He has 6 home runs and 14 RBIs. He's only hitting 242 against Pivetta, but he has a 1045 OPS. In the most ever. Nobody has seen Nick Pivetta on the Pirates more than Marcell Osuna, and he's not starting today.
Where is the bruh soundboard when we need it?
Yeah.
Where is that? That is a certified bruh moment right there.
They got tired of booing Ozuna, who's hitting a 065, according to Go Aztecs in the YouTube chat. Fair, to be fair.
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 To be fair. If you're going to try to get a guy hot, I mean, what's the point of benching him now? At this point, it's like you might as well just have him swing against Pivetta. Maybe he could find some life. What are the Pirates doing? Did the Pirates know what they're doing? Did Pirate Parrot write the lineup today for the Buccos?
No, because I think Pirate Parrot would have had Osuna in there.
Or they're just like, well, we got Paul Skeens, so it doesn't really matter. We're just going to roll with Paul Skeens tonight.
Paul Skeens go burr.
Skeens in his last outing in Cincinnati, a lot better of a bounce back outing. 5 innings, 1 earned run, 3 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. A little bit more of a Paul Skeens outing, if you will. In his last outing. So the first one I think is a little bit of an anomaly, if you will. Obviously, O'Neal Cruz kind of screwed things up playing center field for them in that game. He had the sun ball, ends up dropping in. Probably should have been caught. If that ball's caught, not a lot of earned run. The ERA is going to be way lower. So I think the goal for tonight's game is the same as yesterday. They have to continue with their approach. And I've liked the philosophy and I've liked the approach out of the Padres. And I agree with AJ Cassavell. I mean, AJ said it with us in the last segment about how the Padres have said, like, we've kind of not gotten very lucky. We've gotten the exit velocity that we've wanted. We've gotten the bat speed. We've gotten the high contact. We haven't struck out a lot. We've grinded out at bats. We should be getting more of a reward for this. And, they've had to face 2 of the best pitchers already in Major League Baseball. They're going to do the same thing again tonight against Paul Skeens. They have to play at Petco Park. I mean, a lot of it might sound like excuses, but as AJ said, if they're saying that in June, you roll your eyes. You say that 7 games, 8 games, 9 games, 10 games now into the season, you kind of have to rely. You have to kind of go with that because the last 3 games, they've really flipped the script and they're actually starting to see some of the fruits of their labor of this approach and this new hitting philosophy.
Yeah, you get the benefit of the doubt this early into the season. Again, is at least what we're doing on the show is we're not saying it's early anymore. We don't get those it's early excuses anymore after April ends. So it definitely is one of those it's early. They've had a lot of bad luck go their way so far this year. And I mean, it's just the way baseball is, especially early in the year. Fluky stuff happens.
And we'll see what happens again tonight. But I think it's, you got to try to run with the pitch count. You can't. I'm curious to see do you think they're going to use the same approach that they did against Tarek Skubal? In their defense, like they didn't really get to use it too much because they were already down, 4-0 in the first inning or 3-0, whatever it may be.
Yeah, you could have used it though against Logan Webb.
I don't think so. I think
I'm not saying Logan Webb is on the same level as Tarek Skubal, but if you have an quote unquote ace approach.
Well, their approach against Skubal was like, you're not going to get a lot of great pitches. You see a fastball early, you swing. And they did not run up his pitch count. Do you think that changes tonight against Paul Skeens of we should probably try to get to their bullpen? I think it might change. I'm curious to watch that tonight. I'm watching for that tonight in this game. Are they going to have that approach against Paul Skeens they did against Tarek Skubal of see fastball early, we're going to swing on it, we're going to swing at pitches early and often?
I don't think
Or are you going to try to battle out?
I think you have to try to battle it out. You got to try to get his pitch count up.
I'd rather get the pitch count up.
Yeah, because, I mean, I would, if I have to deal with Paul Skeens, who's pitching well, I'd rather have to deal with him for 3-4 innings than deal with him for 6 or 7.
Especially with the bullpen they have back there.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's slightly. I think the Tigers bullpen is slightly better than the Pirates bullpen. It's not like the Tigers bullpen was like completely lights out, but I think it's a little bit more of a situation of let's tax this bullpen even more than we already did last night, and then it really sets us up because I think you're playing for 2 games right here tonight. Because if you lose tonight, but you see a lot of bullpen arms, that sets up to win a series on Wednesday with Michael King against Mitch Keller, where they're out of bullpen arms. And you're kind of playing the war of attrition, I think, tonight. And you want to try to get Skeens out as quickly as possible in this game. So hopefully a good leadoff at bat by Ramon Laureano. It would be nice to get the first Padre leadoff hitter to start a game on base.
It would be, wouldn't it?
They're 0 for 10. Padres batters to lead the game, whether it be at home or on the road, in the 10 games are 0 for 10 with 3 strikeouts. Have not reached base once out of your leadoff batter.
Is that good?
No.
Yeah, no.
It's not great. It's okay. I mean, it's baseball, so things happen early this season. It's only 10 game sample size, but no, it's not great. Ron in La Mesa wants to know if you can swing a bat wearing a parka. Shouldn't you know that, being from or going to school in Manhattan, Kansas? It gets cold in Manhattan, Kansas, does it not? Maybe you should know. Ron and La Mesa in the YouTube chat. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Frogs this weekend, though, by the way. So it's been tough sledding for the Power Cats out there. Tomorrow's game will be at 9:35 in the morning. It'll be Michael King and Mitch Keller. I'd like to see Michael King get some help offensively. I think he's been pitching very well. I think he's been pitching well enough to get a couple of wins. He's 0-1 with a 3.38 ERA. It'd be nice for him to build off of his first couple of outings. He ran himself into trouble against the Red Sox, I would say, on opening day for the Red Sox last week. But at the same time, they took him out and put Wandy Peralta in to save the day, and it really ballooned his ERA a little bit. So I'd like to see Michael King have a good outing again tomorrow and set up for a series win. They're either trying to go for a series win tomorrow or they're trying to go for a sweep. They could use a sweep, I think. I mean, it would be nice for them to kind of get back on track and get a sweep of the Pirates. Because if you get a sweep of the Pirates, you know, then it's like you've won 3 series in a row.
You left San Diego
2-4.
2 games under 500. To come back 500 would be good. To come back 2 games over would be very nice.
That would be awesome. And then
very,
you got the
nice.
Rockies for 3 games, right? Like I mentioned before they went on the road trip, it's a good time to get right because you got 2 teams that aren't necessarily traditionally good. Red Sox have been struggling. Pirates had a little bit of a surge right there, but then you got the Rockies right after. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but this is a good time in the schedule to start racking up some wins and feel confident going into the second half of April. And if you look at the schedule of April, I mean, you're going to have to deal with the Cubs at the end of the month, but there's a lot of good opportunities for the Padres coming up. Nick Pivetta, Paul Skeens later on. Gwynn and Chris coming up next.
Padres Pirates today.
Yeah, Machado laces it